What's up, everybody? John Maddox here, coming at you with another late night logical, plausible, probable. We're gonna be having an open mic discussion. You never know where we might end up, but I will tell you this: before we're done, we will have put some Evos in their place, because when I'm finished, you done. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to a late night logical, plausible, probable. Hoping my audio is coming through here correctly. Let me check just to make sure. Looks like we're good. All right, so gonna be having some fun tonight. For those of you who missed out on, what is going on here? Hang on one second. All right, let's try this again. Okay, so for those of you who missed out on a little short call out that I did earlier today, this stems from the interesting debacle that was stream had the other night, doing the after show for Praise and Jamie's debates, and then had a little interaction with a guy who claims to be an agnostic and something else, not an atheist, and he was apparently very butthurt about me making some comments and asking some questions in his own debate the night before. He came over, trolled. Those of you who were in the stream the other night, you heard a lot of this stuff. I'm gonna encapsulate this for some other folks, but before we get started, for those of you who missed the little teaser from earlier, let's go ahead and play that, and then we'll dive into more detail as to what actually was going on, and I will be putting all of this into context. So did I or did I not ask multiple questions in that?
I don't see that. What were they?
All right. A question by logical, plausible, probable.
So did I or did I not ask multiple questions in that?
I don't see that. What were they?
Another question by logical, plausible, probable.
So did I or did I not ask multiple questions in that?
I don't see that. What were they?
Logical, plausible, probable wrote,
So did I or did I not ask multiple questions in that?
I don't see that. What were they?
all right. A question by logical, plausible, probable.
So that was the little teaser from earlier, and I would say for those of you watching already, for people who haven't that are just coming in, you probably rather quickly recognize that the dude who admitted to being a troll is just completely full of bovine scatology, and I'm going to call him out. So because as you're about to see here in just a few moments, either the guy's an idiot, which wouldn't actually surprise me all that much, or given the fact that he actually answered my questions the night before, and then somehow was incapable of putting those things together. Well, I think, ladies and gentlemen, what this really leads up to is that a significant percentage of YouTube agnostic, atheist, pantheist, whatever title they want to place on themselves, they're a bunch of immature little girly men who like to find ways to somehow convince themselves that they're not soy boys and can actually be, one up people in conversations. And as you saw in the little teaser I played, and I played a lot of my streams, one of the things I operate by is the difference between confidence and arrogance is being able to back up your BS. Now, as you guys are going to witness here in just a moment, I called out his BS immediately. in the stream the other night, and let's see if let's just see if I back up my own positions and the things that I claim to be correct. Scott, what's up, man? Welcome, welcome to the stream. How are you?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me on so we can hash it out, brother.
Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, and if you want to re-encapsulate your position, and we can take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm an agnostic. I'm somebody who doesn't claim to know, metaphysical realities. Actually, I'm a naturalistic pantheist. I don't know these things. I don't know if God exists or not. There's a lot of things.
So there's BS point number one. I'm an agnostic, and then from the night before, I'm a pantheist. Interesting.
Things I don't know. I know that I exist. I know those sort of experiential things to be true about myself and my own existence. But I don't claim to know that any religion is true, any God exists, or anything like that. That's in a nutshell. Just to kind of give a little context of what happened. I was in a debate, because that's part of what I do, is I have conversations with people in debate. I was on a Christian channel the other night called James is Tired. And you, my friend, jumped in and in the chat, and you opened up there with this guy spews YouTube atheist talking points and obviously doesn't understand the underlying stupidity of any of them. And you go on and you said, oh my God, this guy's had.
So right there, ladies and gentlemen, you can tell that he got just a smidge butt hurt, and he's not feeling too good already.
He doesn't understand the functional components of our immune system. Oh my God, James is tired. James kept asking you, logical plausible. I'm begging you to give him a question. You said, this guy sounds like a throwback to Back to the Future, reference the 1985 comment where you said he sounds like he's from 1985 spewing tired old atheist talking points. And you never came out to address me or ask me a question. So I thought, hey, if you could get it, you can take it, I'm sure. And I thought it'd probably be a good conversation we could have. So I found your channel.
Hey bro, hang on, man. I actually have some multiple questions in that stream. So,
yeah, you did.
So you want to retract the bullshit you just spewed?
No,
bro. Hey, we're going to start off on an upfront foot, and don't be starting in the first 90 seconds of conversation.
I don't want to spend a lot
of literally lying
about everything.
Did I or did I not ask multiple questions in that?
I don't see that. What were they?
There were multiple things. It was Q.
You said I'm driving and using voice text, and I can't ask questions.
And keep scrolling. There's multiple. But anyway.
Hopefully I'll get home in time.
And
that was it. And that's the last.
All right.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, if you notice, I insisted there were questions. He insisted there were not, and specifically cut things off at saying that I didn't in chat. Interesting that he would take that position after I called him out for being full of bovine scatology and called him a liar. He doubled down on his position, which I find very interesting, that so many Evo atheists and agnostics and just the clown shows that are these fools on YouTube, they think that they're not going to get called out for their crap. And I guess they've been used to interacting with people who will just like concede and run around and just be like, oh, I'm just going to let you be a complete and utter jackass clown show. And because I believe in God, I'm just going to let you get away with everything. And then there's people like Linguisti in side chat right now who somehow thinks that calling people out for purposely coming on and with the direct intent of destroying you, which is what he said in comments leading up to all of this. So to call somebody out for their shenanigans is somehow not, we shouldn't do that. I don't understand what world people live in. It's probably part of the reason we have so many freaking issues in modern society, I think, these days, is people say we should just somehow concede to the liars and the idiots who like to run around and cause problems and make people, not actually support and substantiate their positions. So let's move on, ladies and gentlemen. And now let's just zip back over to that stream in question from the other night. And let's see if there's any way, shape, form, or fashion that the guy in question, Scott, would not know that I asked questions.
Right. A question by logical, plausible, probable. Reading it, I would discern it's for Scott. Question: the human eye input is estimated to be 576 megapixels. The best human video camera is 56 megapixels. We don't have buffering problems. You actually think that evolved?
Yeah, I think it evolved. I think nature is awesome. And the eye, also, I'm wearing glasses. And so are you, Richard. So if, evolution and nature is so perfect, and God created our eyes perfect, then why are we wearing glasses? There's people that are blind. There's people with all sorts of problems physically. There's nothing that says intelligent design, as the truth, the unquestionable truth. I don't see it because we see all sorts of problems in nature and in the human body. Yeah, there's some really fascinating things about the human body, but here we're talking about millions of years of evolution. So yeah, nature's awesome, but also it's not perfect.
All right, thank you very much for your answer. And another question by logical, plausible, probable. Controlled quantum coherence is required for photosynthesis and is supposedly an early stage of evolution. You actually think this doesn't need intelligent agency? Obviously for Scott.
Yeah, I don't see how it follows.
Oh, wow. My screen name, question, who it's obviously for, recognition of this by Scott. Again, folks, the person who claimed that I didn't ask questions and doubled and tripled down on that position.
You'd have to, you're talking about intelligent design. Well, actually, I'm a naturalistic pantheist, so I kind of see intelligence in nature.
Oh man, there's that naturalistic pantheist thing again. Interesting.
But I don't think that this necessarily proves that the Bible's reliable or that Yahweh is the God or anything like that. I see that there is some sort of inherent intelligence within nature, and it evolves, it emerges. We're intelligent creatures, and we're from nature. So there's intelligence in nature, namely us. And we come from blind processes. So we emerge from a universe that may have started out very simple. And yet out of this simplicity emerged over a long period of time intelligence and the products of intelligent nature. So hopefully that answers that question for me. That's just my opinion.
Okay, I'm just going to read it from the side chat. Appears to be for Scott again. Sorry, Taylor. Logical, plausible, probable wrote, simplest life forms require genetic code, which controls X, Y, and Z.
Man. Logical, plausible, probable wrote. So, I mean, obviously it's in. Oh, wait. And did Richard read it from the side chat? My goodness. I just don't know how Scott could come to the conclusion that I, A, didn't ask questions, B, hadn't put them in chat, and somehow didn't do any of these things. Interesting. And when I called him out, he insisted that none of what you are currently witnessing, ladies and gentlemen, none of this happened. None of this happened.
And time, logic, rules all of that. You actually think this just emerges. If you think this, then you must believe 3D printing can also create itself.
Nope. That's an equivocation fallacy there. We know that 3D printers are created by intelligent designers because we can trace it back to the manufacturers. We can't do that with cells and things like that. We can only observe what they do and everything like that. We can distinguish between intelligently designed things and natural things. If everything is intelligently designed, if everything was designed, then how do we tell the difference between a designed thing and an undesigned thing to know that everything was designed? We have no reference. But we do have a reference. In fact, we design cars, we make 3D printing, things like that. That's totally different than what we see in nature.
What's really funny about the end of that is he said nothing like that in nature, when the entire point that I was making was that that's exactly what was having to be accounted for in nature. Like, hey, X, Y, Z axis, time-based variables, and the element necessary. That is 3D printing logic. That was the entire point, which he claims isn't something that we have to account for in nature, when that was the point being made about what we have to account for in nature. It's amazing to me. It's like, so either we're dealing with, oh wait, people spewing 1985 YouTube or atheist talking points that are no longer substantiated. Man, it make me feel inspired to, get a flux capacitor and, a DeLorean and go back in time and, see if I can rewrite history so they can, be aware of, modern reality. But yeah, I just don't understand how, when people continue to prove my points, they then act very, offended, or like that I've somehow taken advantage of them, or I'm not being straightforward. And I just don't get it. Like, I continue to prove my point and to showcase beyond doubt their either level of ignorance, their level of stupidity, willful ignorance, or willful stupidity, and uh, in many cases, outright purposeful chicanery. And while they accuse me of doing exactly what they're doing, oh wait, that's why I call them out on the atheist Fantasyland projection complex, because the things that they are doing, they accuse me of, even though I can showcase that they are actually the ones that are engaging in these actions. It's quite fascinating stuff. I don't know, folks. It's very interesting. It's actually getting pretty sad, the level of just, well, I use the word man-child, that we saw, that childish actions that we saw from Scott the other night. Later on in that stream, we had the exact same, we had the atheist little man syndrome example from Jefferson Spatchcock. And it's very interesting how all this stuff continues to be promulgated and placed on full display by YouTube atheists. And as a sidebar, folks, if you haven't seen this, earlier today, I think it was on the Thoughtful, I'll find a link to it. There's a podcast, actually with some Muslim philosophers, but they had Aaron Ra on their stream. And it was one of the funniest things I have ever witnessed. Aaron Ra got utterly annihilated, just annihilated by these Muslim philosophers. I mean, it was bad. I mean, I started feeling bad for the guy towards the end. And what was very interesting to me is, even though he conceded points that kind of, put gaping holes in his positions, he then admitted that he doesn't really know jack diddly squat about philosophy. He then admitted he doesn't really care about physics and cosmology. Yet he demands evidence, but insists that none of the points that are made are relevant. I'm like, what? This is like, I don't even know what world some of these YouTube atheists are living in. It's really fascinating just to analyze the strange ether of irrationality, contrary logic, and acceptance of outright improbability and therefore implausibility for all of their standard talking points, while simultaneously claiming that their position is the only one that is rational. It's like, this is the direct opposite. This is the direct opposite of what would be considered sane in any other context. Like, in any other scenario, you would be considered a moron for taking the positions that are put forth with the utmost confidence by specifically YouTube atheists. I mean, because even it was many of the academic atheists actually recognize, like, okay, so I need to educate the internet atheist trolls of some like basics, some of the basics, so that they can stop embarrassing the rest of us and just being complete and utter morons as they run around with the utmost confidence while not actually being able to defend their own positions. And more importantly, they don't even understand their own positions. I mean, it's like the AFLPC, the Droid C, and ALMS, which is Atheist Little Man Syndrome. Like those things just overwhelm rational thought. It's very amazing. But okay, so enough of my my little rant here. I'm gonna do a little short invitation for some conversation. If anyone wants to come in, we can talk for a little bit, and then I gotta pass out. Cannot stay up ridiculously late again. So link is now in the side chat if anybody wants to come in. And while people are deciding if they want to, I'm going to just play this one more time, just so everybody can get a little bit more humor. So did I or did I not ask multiple questions in that?
I don't see that. What were they?
All right. A question by logical, plausible, probable.
So did I or did I not ask multiple questions in that?
I don't see that. What were they?
Another question by logical, plausible, probable.
So did I or did I not ask multiple questions in that?
I don't see that. What were they?
Logical, plausible, probable wrote.
So did I or did I not ask multiple questions in that?
I don't see that. What were they?
All right. A question by logical, plausible, probable.
Yep. So there's the bovine scatology from Scotty the Clown. Calls himself agnostic. He's actually a naturalistic pantheist / I'm an atheist. Who knows what that guy is? It's ridiculous. What's up, Jungle? How are you doing, man?
What's up, logical, probable, plausible, probable. What's up, John?
I don't know much. I just I couldn't resist after the other night. And he, by the way, folks, part of the reason I did this is in comments after the other night. He kept talking trash, and then I asked him again if it was his position that I hadn't asked any questions, to which he doubled down again, and that just led me to not be able to resist. I mean, I had to just call out this stupidity. I can't take it.
Yeah. It is pointless trolling in his own words.
Yeah. It's I've never really understood why you would come out and take the position, which he didn't in comments and such, that he was going to annihilate me and show how I couldn't back things up, and then comes on, admits to being a troll, while simultaneously contradicting his own experience from the night before. It really is amazing. Like there's no scenario in which I would do that to myself.
Yeah.
Like I don't even understand how that makes any sense.
And he's also a pantheist.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, it's very bizarre.
Unreal.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
It's got to be the life and times of an unbeliever, atheist, skeptic, whatever.
I guess. And this Linguisti guy inside chat, I don't really.
There you go.
He doesn't make any sense. LPP, you just threw ad hominems at him instead of addressing his points. No,
I didn't make a point.
I addressed points, and we had more dialogue, but the guy came in and was being a stone cold liar. Like, I'm sorry, Linguisti. I guess that you must live in some little fantasy world where somebody comes in, lies to your face, when you call them out on it, continues to lie to the crowd, it keeps doubling down on their lies. And you think that that calling somebody out on that is just ad hominem? That doesn't make any sense. Do you actually even know what the words you're using mean? Like calling somebody out for being a liar, who is lying, who I just proved was lying, means that I wasn't insulting him from an unsubstantiated perspective. Like I was calling him out for what he literally did. I mean, that's and we actually did, and I don't know if you were paying attention. I attempted to have conversations about other things. Well, he apparently couldn't control the ducks or whatever it was he was claiming were outside. That was also very annoying. That sound was obnoxious. Godzilla says, if you read the comments discussion, you would see that Scott didn't actually make any points. Yeah. Yeah, it was.
I didn't see any points in the discussion.
No, I mean, I tried. Yeah, I mean, I tried asking him to, back up his points. And I think the only thing he's tried to reference was like a 2016 paper about computation being able to do it with zero energy, and it's like, man, ultimately that actually puts forth the possibility that we're living in an illusion. So,
which proves what?
Yeah, exactly. Man, this Linguisti guy is like, dude, why don't you go and like kiss Scott's rear end? Because apparently you just you love liars, apparently. So I don't know why you're even here if you're going to sit here and continue to defend somebody who I probably just proved was.
He might be from the lost tribe of Israel because he's in Ukraine where they got lost.
Oh, really? Is that where they're saying they went to?
Yeah, at least partially anyway. There's a large considerable amount of DNA from Semitic in that area.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't either. Until I started studying up on it. As a matter of fact, Iran is 1/3 Judaic. Iran.
Really?
1/3 of the population that says death to Israel is Judaic.
Huh. That's very interesting.
And Turkey is the same thing. Greece the same thing. Italy, it's got a lot of people.
Well, people are all over the place. I thought it was kind of interesting the other night before I left and passed out, that the ongoing discussion about whether or not Christ coming during the Roman Empire made sense. Why was it then, from a timing perspective, so long, either so late? It's like some people are, it was so late that he came, and then others are, it was so long ago. I'm like, it really amazes me how people want to just be so myopic and hyper focus on things from their relative perspective rather than the big picture. And I guess I understand it to an extent. I mean, we all sometimes get consumed by our own perspective and our own special relativity, but it's like, to me, like, do you not ever take the time to just think for a few moments about things from the macro point of view and what actually makes sense? But at the same time, I guess you also have to remember that a lot of folks have very, very limited knowledge of history. So it might be difficult for them to, things that I might take for granted.
Right.
Mentally.
Because to me, it's so easy to see that generations, are only a couple thousand years back to Noah, a few thousand years or whatever.
Right.
And to say there's hundreds of thousands of years missing from history is just absurd to me.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. Hey, so quick sidebar. So Smokey, did you? I saw that you were being ready to showcase how the rage was doxed. That ended up going down.
The key. Oh,
And that's I believe the reason that video was going down is the rage has been running around claiming that people have been doxing him, stalking him, all this kind of stuff. And I think he actually did it to himself a while back. I think he actually doxed himself accidentally, and has been talking a bunch of trash about how all these people have been so mean to him. And it was like him or somebody else he knew. I forget exactly what it was, but I thought it was pretty funny. Like, man, so you're accusing people of doing what you did to yourself, or like one of your friends or whatever. But claiming it was your enemy when it was actually inside your own domain of doing it to yourself. It's really amazing. I find it rather ironic and somewhat entertaining when these ongoing, just the state of fantasy, the fantasy land. I mean, the real fantasy land of these atheists and the YouTubers is it's so funny.
I'm getting some rain. You probably can't hear it though. I can hear it.
I can hear it a little bit. Yeah, no, it's not bad. It's been storming like crazy here in Nashville too. It's been raining since like 6 a.m. Still going. I think we're supposed to have even more tomorrow.
And it raised the water level in the lakes a little bit, they said.
Oh, did it?
No, I'm gonna do something really.
Yeah, so my creek is probably raging right now.
It's Ronnie. And it's not just Ronnie. It's Ronnie Tate the motherfucking second.
Oh man. Okay, hang on. We got to showcase this. All right, so for the full, I'm gonna give you a little teaser for the just a short little teaser of what went down over on Smokey's channel a little while ago. So oh man. All right, so this whole thing's 12 minutes. I'm going to play like a minute. Okay, here we go. So here we go. The rage is going to dox himself. Okay, here we go.
I'm gonna do something stupid right now. No, I'm gonna do something really stupid right now because I am just fucking sick of this shit. So my name ain't Nakasuchi, it's Ronnie. And it's not just Ronnie. It's Ronnie Tate the motherfucking second. I live in Battle Creek, Michigan. And any motherfucker that wants to come to Battle Creek, Michigan and fuck with me or my daughter are going to experience a motherfucking life of hell. So come here now, bitch. When it comes to gangs, nobody in this life has seen more people beat into a gang than I have. I can almost guarantee it. I can almost guarantee it. Probably.
Wow. So the rage doxed himself. That's I don't even know what to say to that. So, Jungle, do you ever wonder if a lot of these YouTube atheists have like serious, like masochistic issues? I mean, I really have been wondering this. Of like, do they enjoy inflicting pain upon themselves?
It's self-destructive. I don't know if they realize it, but it is self-destructive.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the guys that end up just going to go out and commit random crimes and then go back to jail. I feel like that's what we're kind of dealing with atheists on YouTube. I'm like, I'm going to be an idiot, and I'm going to hurt myself.
Could be.
It's so okay. A little. I'm not ruining the stream. I have my own beef with the rage and his ongoing trash talking, and my debate with him a couple weeks ago was just kind of like, this is ridiculous. I don't even know what these guys. Yeah. Anyway, although I do think that Smokey must be attempting to rekindle the ongoing drama for another season. gonna reincarnate the Rage Smokey Saint drama fest, and we'll come back into it. There's gonna be who knows how many videos of between those two will come on next. So, Jungle, have you discovered anything interesting recently on the chromosomes?
Yeah, I've discovered that they've already looked into it, and a lot of people have discounted it. They determined that the J is from Shem, the E is from Ham, and the R is from Japheth. But it doesn't take that much to match up all the other ones, just like they did with that one, or with those three.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I'm waiting for more information. I need more information because they're not showing all the information that's probably up to date, you know.
Right. Makes sense. So Linguisti is afraid to come on the stream because he thinks he might be called names. I mean, dude, if you don't come on and be a stone cold liar and act like an idiot, I don't call you an idiot. If you act like a moron, then I'm going to treat you like you're one. I mean, it's that simple. Go ahead, Linguisti. You just joined the stream, right? You there?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello. Well, good morning. It's early in the morning in Ukraine. I just decided to hop on the stream. Yeah, so I just want to have a civil conversation. Like, I don't want to have this. Like, I'm not really a confrontational person, right? I'm trying to like talk things out with people. So if you want to have a convo, and if you feel like I'm dishonest or something, just point it out. I'll be fine. But just don't do it in a very aggressive way. I would really appreciate it.
You speak very good English, by the way.
Thank you. I've learned it myself, but it was fun. So, so I'm an atheist, right? I'm agnostic atheist, if you're okay with this label. Basically, what I mean by that is that I believe that there are no gods. I'm convinced that there are no gods, but I don't know for sure. Like, I'm open to the idea that there might be gods, but the reason I don't believe there is a God is that I'm not convinced that there is a way that we can be sure that there is a God. Like,
what's your definition? What's your definition of God?
Of God?
See if it matches our definition.
That's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. What's the definition of a God? Let me think. So, I was a Christian when I was a kid. I'm from Muscovian Patriarchate, right? That's like Orthodox, I think. I'm not really good at those things, but my definition of a God was specifically Jesus, I think. I don't think I have anything specific I can say. I believe that God was Jesus for my whole life. Well, I didn't know that there was like Holy Spirit. I didn't know there was Yahweh because I was a kid, right? But I used to go to church with my grandma and my parents and everything. And I'm not sure if you want to hear all of that, but like I can explain how everything happened if you care about that, or I can go straight to the point, like how I became an atheist.
Attributes? Does Jesus have attributes that you can describe?
Attributes? I don't know. I was scared of Jesus, so I assume he was like authoritative, if that's important. I also thought that he was loving, so I assumed that he loved everybody. but at the same time, you had to listen to do all the old follow all the rules and everything if you don't want to get in hell, and vice versa. If you want to go to heaven, you also have to follow the rules and everything. And yeah,
Well,
if you're
he
asking me
does love.
about things, yeah, go on.
He does love, but he said to abide in his love.
Yeah, I just started reading the Bible, so I don't know much of that, but
So
Yeah.
let me.
if you have questions, I can try asking. Answering.
The Gospel of John is a good book to read if you want to read something.
I want to read the whole thing, so I'm just going step by step right now. I haven't gotten to the Moses yet. I'm somewhere before that with the guy whose name starts with J, something
Joshua?
J.
Nah, no, Jacob.
There was an angel in somebody's house, and he was hiding the angel inside of the house, and people came to the house and said, "Hey, get the angels out" or something.
Oh, you're talking about
Lot neighborhood.
Oh, it was Lot. Yeah, it was not J. It was L. Anyway, yeah, I'm there somewhere. So yeah, do you have any questions? Maybe I can I can either explain my story, how I became an atheist, and why I believe the atheism is true, but that's going to be long, so I don't want to take too much of your time. Or you can ask me straight questions, and we can do that. So,
well, I mean, let me real quick. Let me say to Smokey, and then yes, go ahead and expound upon. So I'm actually rather curious. You just admitted you haven't read the Bible. You don't really know much about God, yet you're an atheist. So I find that very interesting. But
I can
but hang on one second. So what's up, Smokey? Sure. Welcome to the stream.
What's up, bro? How you doing, man? Good to see you tonight.
Man, hanging in there. So I'm assuming you had a good time showcasing.
Oh, I had a blast. It was fun. Yeah, good moments, fun times.
So did you witness the madness of my stream?
Yesterday? Yeah, I did. In fact, I actually wanted to come in. I was in the middle of things. I was actually going to come in and talk to Scott for a minute because he opened with just the stupidest thing I think I ever heard in my entire life, which was that the thing he was using to troll you was to basically just make a statement that your testimony was not objective evidence. Well, wow. What an insanely stupid thing to say that is. And I don't even know if he could really point to something that would be quote unquote objective evidence that isn't empiricism. But anyway, the fact that you share it and the fact that it might be meaningful to you and other people is whether or not it's objective is meaningless. The fact that it was meaningful to you is by an atheist paradigm perfectly enough for it to be meaningful objectively. So atheists base objectivity on meaningfulness based upon whether or not it's meaningful directly to them. This is how they get away from not being pure nihilists that just murder themselves, with no meaningless at all, meaning to life at all. This is what they use. So if his paradigm is based upon each person subjectively setting their own value spectrum for meaning, then your testimony and whoever finds your testimony and finds value in it, therefore attributes it based upon their paradigm objective value. So it was just laughable what he chose to go at you with. And I would have loved to come in and kind of poke at him about it because he thought he was some master troll just making some weird vacuous moron statement. And you brought him in here to defend it and he couldn't because that is really all he's good for is just throwing out random, stupid, idiotic nonsense. And I get it. A good litmus test for a particularly retarded atheist I've noticed is if they'll agree with someone like, say, Skylar Fiction or T-Jump. At that point, you probably know that someone is not actually operating with a full deck. They're in full-blown bias confirmation mode. And generally, most of what they'll say will be comical, if not just outright depressingly stupid. So, yeah, man, that was kind of my thoughts on it. But, yeah, good stuff. I was just wondering why I came into the stream and you were kind of reviewing. I'm like, why are you playing with a dead rat? What's that about? So, yeah, anyway, no, good stuff, man. Appreciate it. Just hopping in to say hi to you, good friend, and hanging out.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, not really playing with a dead rat. It's more of just I don't really view it as a dead rat. It's more like a dancing monkey. that I can use to point out
Fair enough.
Kind of the point that you were just making of like they actually are this nuts. It's really amazing.
Yeah, they got nothing, and they just poke at you with nothing all the time, and it's just, you know, I long for the ability to snap atheists individually back into a sense of realization of the shamefulness of their perspectives and the indefensibility of them. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt your little conversation thing. I might chime in here or there and grab myself a cup of coffee if that's cool.
Okay, awesome, man. So actually, we just got a super chat from God is Nowhere. So, question for you, Linguisti: what led you to LPP's channel? So, how did you find my channel?
I just found it in recommendations. That was pretty much it. I thought I saw a no. I'm wrong. I watch Pine Creek from time to time, and I remember Pine Creek making a video about coming in here. And I decided to watch the video myself without I watched the video first, like the stream, then I watched the Pine Creek stream. So that's how I started kind of watching the streams from Pine Creek. So yeah, that was pretty much it.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Okay, so why don't you tell us how you became an atheist?
So I can explain my whole. Yeah, I'll try to just explain it without telling it. So basically, the way it's all started, So I live in Eastern Ukraine. Here, there are two religions. I don't really know the difference between them. Two different types of Christianity. In my type of Christianity, me and my grandma used to always take me to church since I was a kid. So I was told that, hey, there is a God. From what I remember of my childhood, I would always look at the sky and look and feel like, oh, there was a God looking at me every second. And I would go, I remember going to your bathroom, and I love bread, right? So I would take a piece of bread with me. But my grandma used to tell me, if you what's the word? Not spill bread. If the bread goes on the ground, basically, that's a sin. So you cannot allow yourself to what's the word? To make the bread go down to the ground. That's a sin. And I would always be so scared of dropping the bread because I didn't want to disappoint, to get in hell, basically. I was mortified by, I was 6 or 5 years old or 7, something like that. I was mortified by the idea that if I drop bread, I'm committing sin. Because they told me, yeah, you can get rid of sin, but you don't want to sin in the first place. So I always tried not to commit anything that I was told was sin. And I remember going to the, not graveyard, what's the word? Cemetery, when my dad was getting his grandparents, I don't know the word, but yeah, into the ground. I remember looking at the sky and thinking, hey, Grandpa, I hope you're fine there in heaven. But then a thought struck me. Wait, what if he's in hell? How do I know? And then I started, I think I was, a few years later, I'll try to kind of shorten it. I was going to church. My grandma is extremely religious. She still is. We just had a kind of tasty Eastern Ukrainian Christian snack yesterday because it's a celebration. My grandma is still super religious. She did brings me all the things. But when I was 14 years old, this is where kind of everything changed for me. I went on YouTube and I saw a thumbnail of a video. It was, I don't know specifically what it was, but it was something like that. What's the name? Hawking. Why I, Stephen Hawking, am an atheist or something like that. And I was like, what's an atheist? I'm not lying. I didn't even know that atheism was a possibility. I thought that everybody around me, every single person believed in God, and there was no exception because I was brought in this way. And I realized after watching, it was 5-minute video, but it was enough for me to start questioning, not my religions first. I started asking myself, wait, what if Islam is true? What if I will go to Islam heaven, Islam hell, if I don't follow Islam? I didn't know how many people were in Islam. I didn't know how many people were in Christianity. I would just ask myself, what if there were fewer people in Islam or more people in Islam? I don't know. I still don't remember. But I go to their hell for not following their rules. And I was so scared of it. And then I started asking myself, wait, who's Jesus? Because, well, again, in my head, Jesus was the God in the sky. I didn't even know Yahweh existed up until like maybe 3 years ago. And I was asking myself, who was Jesus? And I asked myself, why do I believe Jesus is there? Why do I think that Jesus is God? What is God in the first place? And basically what happened is that I started questioning, why did I start believing that? And I realized that I follow Christianity without a good reason. Maybe a good reason would be if I read the Bible and I like find something out. But then my question was to myself, wait, why should I believe a book in the first place if there are other people who believe different books for their reasons? And then I asked myself, well, even if something can explain the world pretty well, it doesn't mean that everything in this book is true. Because I found explanations of Christianity very, very cool. Like maybe a lot of things in the Bible so far that I've read explain things pretty well. But it doesn't mean that if something explains something pretty well was sufficient for me and it was true. So that was my problem. But that was pretty much it. And since then, since I was 14, I became an atheist. I was always scared of the label. I remember becoming a nihilist first and being like, hey, there's no sense of meaning in life. Then I just realized, hey, well, maybe there's nothing specific I can point out, but like I just have this feeling of empathy towards people around me. I want people to be happy. I want my family to be happy. I want my friends to be happy. I'll just, go through life. I have only one life, so why not? Why not like take the full out of it? So that's pretty much it. I think if you have any questions, you're free to ask. So that's my story.
That's why I was asking if you could give us a definition for God so that we could be on the same page as to what we're talking about.
Yeah, so I assume that God is the thing that created Earth specifically.
The creator.
That's what I thought. Yeah, created Earth. Yeah, creator of the Earth. And what else?
The heaven too. The universe. The elements.
What do you mean by universe?
Every physical thing.
Every physical thing. I don't know. Like I would say Earth specifically. Is there anything about the creation of the universe itself in the Bible?
Yeah, he's the creator of everything there is. Yeah.
Everything. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, I can take that definition. Okay, creator of every single thing in the world. We can use that definition maybe.
Because the Earth, everything does require a creator. It requires an origin or a cause. They call it the first cause. You have to have a first cause.
So I think this is kind of something that I've been thinking about. Like I was walking yesterday when talking in the chat and thinking, does everything require a creator? And I would say, yeah, well, a lot of things around us, they are created. But if you think about it, we just rearrange existing things, right? Like we just take like a stone and we rearrange it into like a brick.
But originally it had to come from somewhere. It had to have an origin originally, and every physical thing requires energy. Every
Linguist,
matter.
If I may, just ever so briefly, you actually just nailed down right on point the argument for fine-tuning and design, which is the idea that the origination of life, even the simplest building blocks of life, the most basic proteins that are needed to assemble life, all of this had to be rearranged. This is raw matter that was then synthesized and then rearranged. So this is what we say where we look at what would be a normative state of affairs of disorder. We see a sudden emergence of extreme order. This is what is leading us to believe that this is not a naturalism manifestation. This is not something that naturalism explains.
Can I please ask you to use a bit simpler language if it's possible? Because I have to process every word because I'm a foreigner.
Sure. Okay.
It's like
apologies. Yeah.
like that. But yeah, I understood it. Yeah.
Yeah, your English is very good. I'd expect your accent was almost local. So very good. Yeah, no, what I'm saying is that at the very, very base level, before life even gets started, you have super complexity. You have random materials being complex in a complex fashion.
Yeah,
being rearranged into something that is functional to build life. So
I agree.
When you said, well, we look at the world and we're trying to see, evidence of things that are quote unquote created, that's what we do when we look at the basic building blocks of life and say this had to be created. Naturalism doesn't explain this. Disorder doesn't just randomly create order like this. So I just wanted to point that out because you kind of have almost walking through it nailed right on where we begin a lot of our argumentation for ontology for this. So anyway, but feel free, go ahead, continue.
Okay, so yeah, I maybe that's going to be easier for you to dismantle. I can explain how I perceive the world, and maybe you can see if this is something you disagree with. So the way I see the world, I have an assumption that is baseless, that the world might be infinite. What I mean by that is that, yeah, we do have all the planets, we do have all the stars in the vicinity. We have found a lot of different, well, we kind of see where the planets kind of go from, like the planets and the systems. But for me, it is just these planets that we can see. And I have an assumption that there's probably more than that if we go further away. Maybe there was like some explosion or some dismantling that made the planets go towards where we are right now, and we just strayed away from a bigger system of something, maybe a bigger galaxy, maybe a bigger something, right?
That's an interesting idea. That's an interesting idea. Let me pose this as a question then, because now you've basically kind of insinuated that the universe is eternal. It seems in a round.
Yeah, I assume it is eternal. I don't think there should be like a beginning.
So what evidentiary chain of logic are you following where you lead that is the more likely nature of reality than Big Bang cosmology and that time and matter all had a beginning?
Yeah, I would say lack of evidence that there are borders, I think. Maybe not a lack of evidence, but I haven't researched cosmology as well, so this is pretty much, that's what I said in the beginning, it's pretty much baseless, right? It's just my assumption.
Okay.
I assume that go on.
Okay, so you said that you watched a video from Hawking that kind of started your atheism journey.
Yeah, it was the thumbnail that made me think. I don't even remember the video itself. It was the thumbnail and the idea of thing.
I get that. So you do realize, you may not realize. So Hawking's model, in his book, he had a very little small snippet where he actually admitted this, but the whole his model of but there's not necessarily a starting point, all that kind of stuff, was using not figurative but literally imaginary time. If you used imaginary time, then you didn't have to have a starting point. If you used real time in the math, in the formulas, then you absolutely did have to have a starting point to the universe. And now he kind of glossed over that in his book. But
what do you mean by the start of the universe? Does it mean start of the universe of the planets that we have here, or does it mean the start of the whole universe of all the map?
The whole universe.
The whole universe.
And
the whole universe. Yes.
And so his model in reality, okay, if you actually use real numbers, not imaginary numbers, and people don't realize this, but the whole, we don't actually have to have a beginning, all that kind of stuff from Hawking. Imaginary time. Well, I find it so entertaining from what we hear from a lot of the atheists on YouTube about, God of the Gaps and magic and sky daddies and things. And I'm like, so we've got people like Hawking who get all of this supposed credibility, who use imaginary time. But my point being that he kind of glossed over. He admitted this in his book, Brief History of Time. It's from, I think, 1988. He admitted this, but it was like a very small little chunk in the book where he admitted that this was the case, right? In the paper in which what he wrote about in Brief History of Time was actually, founded upon, this was much more expanded upon and, put forth as a reality that, hey, our model doesn't actually work in real time, which is amazing. Like, hey, we're admitting this doesn't have actually any semblance of reality, unless you use imaginary time. And they get published on this kind of stuff. It gets taken seriously, which is what blows me away. But my point is that his model, like basically all of them, showcases that we had a beginning. And like, for example, the steady state theory of like, hey, we're eternal, the universe is eternal, this kind of stuff, that was basically debunked in the 60s. Like, from a cosmology perspective, the whole premise of the eternal existence of the universe, therefore everything is possible within infinite time, has been completely, it's been abandoned. And the irony is that one of the reasons they didn't want to abandon it, and so many physicists were against abandoning the premise of the eternal universe, was that if there's a beginning, then the premise of a God existing is dramatically supported. And the irony is that now, fast forward to the present day, and cosmologists are trying to come up with all these clever ways to somehow be like, oh, well, there was a beginning, but that doesn't mean there's a God. That doesn't mean there's an external cause to the universe. We're going to come up with all sorts of other crazy ideas that cannot be substantiated, cannot be falsified. And we're going to put them in place of the necessity of God existing, or God being necessary in order for the universe to exist, because we know that there is a starting point. And therefore, the logical conclusion is that there would be an external agent or external cause, a necessary cause versus a contingent cause for the beginning of the universe. Go ahead.
Okay, interesting. So thank you for telling me that, because I haven't read Hawking. Like, I haven't watched much of him. I just know that he's a very renowned scientist. But I think that's why my model and his model we disagree there, because I don't think, if he says that there was a beginning to the whole universe, I would kind of have to disagree. My belief is that I think that where we live right now, like I'm not sure if you call it galaxy or whatever, but all the planets, all the stars that we can see, everything that we can see so far, all of that, I think just kind of maybe straight away from its original point by some cause, like maybe something blew up and made the stars go away from its original point or something. So I just think we strayed so far away from our original point so that we cannot see all the other stars or galaxies or whatever. But I wouldn't say that. I see a beginning of movement of our universe, but I don't assume that. Like, what was before this universe? That's my point. Like, maybe there was something before, but not universe. What was before? Is that a galaxy? What it's called? Like, what was before our galaxy? Was it like, were we like a huge planet that blew up into different smaller planets? Was there like some other kind of explosion or something? Go on.
There's multiple galaxies. There's multiple galaxies in this universe, but you have to realize that every physical thing costs something. There's a cost to everything that we see, and that cost is in energy. And energy doesn't come from nowhere. It has to come from something other than itself, or a greater energy than itself. So if it's coming from a greater force or energy, at some point you have to go outside of this universe to get there to understand the source.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my point. Like, maybe something blew up next to our universe and made like this huge planet, kind of move towards where we are right now. And then this planet split into several pieces.
But that costs something too.
Okay.
Linguisti, you're not actually doing anything to remove the essentiality or potentiality of a deity. So I don't even know why you're even going down this long.
Can you go slower? Slower, please. So can you say that again?
Yeah, I don't know why you're going down this argument path, because none of what you're presenting necessarily excludes a deity. In fact,
no, I'm explaining my universe, how I understand it.
the more complex you keep explaining it, the more it seems like a deity would be a sensical, where even for your universe as you're describing it, like it sounds like it still would make more sense that a god would be the beginning of it. You see what I'm saying?
I see. Well, the reason I'm not convinced that there is a god, because I can imagine in my head, you know how Earth is very small compared to the sun, and small is bigger compared to like bigger star, and stars can be like millions times bigger than the ones we have here. And maybe there was like an incredibly huge type of a planet or star that blew up and made us move here, because like as we know, planets can be so much different in size. It's incredible. So like I can in my head imagine a very like plausible. Well, I don't want to say plausible because I don't know if it's plausible, but like an explanation that kind of fits me. Maybe there was like a bigger planet that blew up next to another big planet and made that one split into different parts or something. Like I don't know specifically how all those planets like kind of started moving, but like I would assume that there was some big explosion that made those planets move towards where we are now. Maybe it was caused by like blow.
Dude,
No,
bro, I'm sorry, but no offense, but you're just a giant maybe machine.
Yeah, well, I would
like this isn't.
I would say so. Yeah. Why not? I would agree with that. Sure.
Okay.
I love saying maybes. Like I think I love saying maybes because like maybe there's a god, maybe there's not a god. I love saying maybe because it makes me think, what is the actual truth?
Let me ask you something real quick. Do you think that we believe there's a god because it's been proven to us, or do you think we believe it's a god because it seems to be the most reasonable explanation?
Do you want my honest thing?
Yes.
Okay, so my honest thing is that I kind of compare myself to other people. I think I either, well, like a little part of people were indoctrinated. Some people had an emotional experience in church. For example, like if somebody enters a church and there's like music, there's people laughing and saying, "Oh yes," like
hold on. Before you continue, though, before you continue, that example you just gave, that's not something that would be unilaterally proof to everyone. Maybe someone might classify that or consider that as proof, but at best, it's strong evidence.
I cannot hear anything. Hello.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything.
Can you hear me?
Connection problem. I have worse connection right now. I'll try to reload the airplane mode, and you can discuss, and then you say what you wanted to tell me. Just a second. Let me reload the internet.
All right.
Okay, so while he does that, sidebar, folks. Yeah. Guess who has come into this in the side chat with one of his sock accounts? Is a logical, implausible, improbable, also known as the clown show that is Dak. And he's now claiming that he's not Dak, even though you dumbass, you forgot that you had a sock account activated one day and you posted the same comment twice.
Yep.
From both accounts. Ooh. And yeah, got screenshots, bro. So don't deny it, little buddy. Listen, I know you're an actor. I know you're out in Hollywood. You're probably feeling sad because Hollywood's imploding and the Oscars had a 50% ratings drop. And it's just, things aren't going well for Hollywood. And since you're a clown, the probability of you doing well is very, very low already.
Indeed.
But just because you're trying to run around with a sock account and, cover up the fact that you're an idiot. I mean, it honestly, Dak, it was very painful to watch the stream that you did with Sal Otangelo and Dr. James Carter. I mean, they were discussed abiogenesis and origin of life chemistry. The level of stupidity coming out of that man's mouth was epic. I actually talked to Dr. Carter after the fact, and I was like, man, how are you managing to remain like patient and like not just go off on that goofball? And he's like, well, to be honest, I was actually laughing about it inside. I wasn't gonna let myself get mad because he was obviously just ignorant. And
okay, can you hear me?
Hey,
wait, I don't have my headphones turned on. Just a sec, I cannot hear you. Just a second.
Hey, look at this.
Can I hear you, by the way?
We can hear you. Can you hear us? You're on mute, buddy. Linguisti, you've muted yourself if you're trying to talk to us. Okay, well, he's on mute.
I
still cannot hear you. I'm gonna reconnect again. Sorry.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? No. Oh, okay.
I think he's having connection issues or something.
Yeah. Here's the other thing. I think that perhaps what's that guy's name? Oh man, Cygnus Eustace. I think he and Dak may be alter egos of each other, because they talk very similarly. They leave lots of all these comments, and whenever I get comments from one, I usually get comments from the other. It's very interesting. Like I think they may be, they might both be in Hollywood. They may be. Here's what I think. I think Cygnus may be a producer, and Dak may be his little boy that goes around and like serves the master, because you can tell from Cygnus's ego that he just thinks he's the man, and it's probably had a lot of tail kissers for his career, and a bunch of yes men.
I just hit 700 subs. That was your guy in your chat there, J2K. Just became the 700 sub. Cool, bro. Thanks. Appreciate you.
Nice. Congratulations.
Awesome.
You're getting
so I'm back.
On the right.
Yeah. Hello. So what were you saying? Can you please repeat the whole point, because I forgot what it was?
You know what? I think I did too. You might just want to.
Smokey, you were talking about being a maybe man.
Oh yeah,
I
had asked you, did you think that we as Christians, us in this room, that we had decided, our Christianity or what we believe
in this room?
Based upon whether or not we had proved it to ourselves, or whether or not we just believed it was the most reasonable explanation.
If you talk about this room specifically, I think that you might. I heard you yesterday say. So I'm kind of biased, because I heard people say yesterday that they said that they came to these conclusions by themselves, meaning through logical and science and everything. If I'm honest, I still think that this was some kind of a personal conviction rather than logical thing. I don't think people believe things for logic. I think even myself, I'm very biased, because people believe things through emotions, through emotional experiences, because they are much more convincing than any kind of evidence you can come up with. So that's my point.
So do your emotions have a logical underpinning as the cause?
Logical underpinning as the cause. Just like crossing the road. Do my emotions have a logical underpinning? What is underpinning? Is it like basis?
Yeah. Is there? If you actually go and think about it and look far enough, does even an emotional response have a understandable and a quantifiable cause?
I'm sorry, this is very difficult. Let me try. If I understand you correctly, are you saying is logic based on emotions? Is that the question, or is it something different?
No. I'm saying, can you? Okay. Do you think that emotions have a cause?
Okay. Emotions have a cause. Yeah.
Okay. So does the
experiences cause emotions? I think.
Well, that's okay. But is the emotion that you're feeling a response to something?
Yeah, to stimulants.
Right. So do the stimulants have to just be? Are they like totally random?
What do you mean by random? What
I'm saying is, can there be a very rational, logical, and understandable cause for the emotional feeling about something?
Well, we know that chemicals kind of make our feelings go up and down. If we didn't have a specific chemical in our brain, we would probably not feel this emotion. If that's what you're trying to say.
The triggering of the chemical response, does that have an underlying cause?
The trigger of those chemical reactions, a cause. Well, I think the cause is the command from our brain for those chemical reactions to happen. So our brain makes those things happen, I think.
Okay.
Like it gives, hey, hey, make him feel happy. Hey, make him feel sad. And I think that's what brain does.
Just arbitrarily? You think it's arbitrarily? You have emotions, or is it based because of something?
Wait, I'm really trying to understand. Maybe I'm like sounding dumb, but I'm really trying to understand what you're trying to say.
I mean, your emotions are just random, or they have a cause and effect.
So
reaction.
I'll try to explain maybe my whole understanding of emotions. Maybe that's going to make it easier. I think emotions come from stimulants. When we have a stimulant, our brain sends a signal towards our body. Hey, you gotta make this thing appear. So that, for example, if we see food is food is a thing that makes us survive. So it sends a signal. Hey, food is good. So make him feel happy if he's eating it. So that he kind of develops this habit of eating food. Or hey, standing.
How does this relate to reality? Does it relate to reality when you feel good if you know the truth or hear the truth, or how's that work?
Yeah. So for example, when somebody takes drugs, for example, right, we can kind of deceive our brain into thinking that there's something good is happening. So I don't think it always kind of refers to reality. Sometimes we can fool our brains because our brains are fallible. Is that the word?
Yeah.
And I think no, it doesn't always correspond to reality.
Okay, so if I feel good about something because I know that I made the correct decision.
Yeah.
Does the fact that I am feeling good about my decision because it's the correct one somehow influencing the fact that it's the correct decision?
No.
Okay, so I've analyzed the evidence, the experiences, the preceding knowledge and evidence. I have come to the conclusion that I've made the correct choice, and now I feel good because I've made the correct choice. So is that decision based purely on my beliefs and my feelings, or is it based on rational and intellectual analysis of the different pieces of evidence which have led to that conclusion?
Please ask that one more time. I'll try to process it again. Like slow version, like short version. Can you say that? Ask that again.
I feel good about a decision I've made because it's correct.
Okay. What do you mean by correct? How do you know it's correct? What is correct?
Because whatever the decision is, based on the evidence and the experiences, the analysis, I know that I've made the correct decision. I now feel good about this. Is it being the correct decision predicate? Is it dependent on the fact that I feel good about it, or the fact that I was able to use my mind and come to the realization that I was making the correct decision?
Yeah, which comes first? Do emotions determine reality, or does reality cause emotions?
I think so. Yeah. Oh, I think I got it. So, do the thing. If I understand you correctly, are the things outside of our brain that we do they cause emotions, or is that how you trying? What are you trying to say here?
No. I'm asking: is the decision controlled by the emotional response, and is it influenced by the emotions, or are the emotions the result of the correct decision?
Oh yeah, so I think I just had an idea. First way, let me try to. Is the decision just across the road again? Is the decision? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm very kind of lost my thought process here. I think that we kind of act. We do things because we want to feel emotions. So our actions are based on that we want emotions to happen. I think. Is that it? I'm sorry for not understanding it completely. I'm trying to.
That's not what I'm not. I'm not saying that what you just said doesn't happen, and there aren't people that do. The point I'm making is That's not the point, though. The point is
Okay.
coming to a conclusion. You started this off with saying that people, like myself, for example, who claim that I came to the conclusion based on logic and analysis and thinking, that I'm actually controlled through emotions and responses to beliefs versus actually having been able to use my intellect. So, from my perspective, what you're saying is you have to apply that same premise that you put forth to everything else. Can I make any decision about anything? Let's remove religion from the equation. Can I actually make correct decisions on anything other than my emotional response?
My problem is with the word correct, because I don't really know what correct would mean in a specific without a specific context. Because for it correct to be correct, there needs to be a specific goal you're trying to reach, obviously. But I don't want to derail the conversations. Let's say, the way I am, the reason I'm saying that I think that's my conviction. I might be wrong. That you, I think that you believe in God.
No. We're not talking about God. We're talking about general.
Okay,
we're talking about any. You're applying.
Okay. For example, I'll take racism. Racism, okay.
Hang on. Listen.
Okay. Listening.
You need just shut up about religion for a second, okay? You are
sure.
You're clouding your own mind on decision.
Can you pick a topic?
Okay. You can pick another. You can pick another concept.
Racism. Okay.
No, let's dumb this down. Okay, let's not go into high level stuff. We're going to dumb this down to a base, because this same logic that I'm saying we're working on right now applies at every single level. Okay, of decision making. So, basically, what I'm saying is, unless you're going to take the position that you can't make a rational, logical decision external to pure desire for emotional response, then if that's your position, then rational decisions don't exist.
No, I just think we can be clouded by our emotions and feel like we're doing the right thing, but actually we're.
Well, of course you can be clouded by emotions, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible to actually think and use your brain. Because I agree with you. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that get clouded by emotions. I go on diatribes about it on a regular basis about atheists, because I see atheists running around bitching and moaning and whining about some of the stupidest stuff. And it's what are you even talking about? You're refusing. I'm not saying you, I'm speaking rhetorically.
I understand.
You're refusing to even look at the big picture while claiming I am the one who is closed-minded. And I use Aaron Raw as an example today on the I'm having a brain fart on the name of the podcast. But it was hilarious. Throughout that entire interview, he kept accusing the philosophers of all these different things, while simultaneously admitting he didn't know what the hell they were talking about, but that they were wrong. I mean, it's so you're admitting you don't know what you're talking about, but the other guy is 100% wrong. But while admitting you don't comprehend what they're saying.
Okay.
That is ridiculous. And I mean, think about it. What do you do? What's your what do you do for work?
Me?
Yeah.
I'd rather not talk about it. Sorry, but I have a part-time thing I do. That's all I can say. Maybe less if I'm more specific. It's connected with creating things. Let's do it this way.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I cannot say much.
Okay, you create stuff. Okay, so you create a specific product, or is it unique each time?
It's connected with modifying somebody else's product, and I'm basically creating thing that kind of modifies a different product, kind of as an addition to that product.
Okay, so you've learned a skill, you've created a way that you do whatever it is that you do, and you're modifying it. And you know exactly what you're doing, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay. If I
Well,
can,
no, no, I'm sorry. I have to kind of interject. Yeah, I think I know what I'm doing, and I think I'm doing it right. But there is sometimes I might spot that there are some mistakes that I've done without realizing that.
well,
So I
you
have
made
to correct them again and again and again and again.
well, yeah, but just okay. You have to remember, if you recognize the mistakes, then
Yeah.
you know what should have been correct. Because otherwise you wouldn't be able to recognize the mistake.
Oh, by mistake. No, for example. Okay, yeah. I'll just take it. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Now I have no idea what the hell you do. Okay. There's a very strong probability, depending on what it is. I may, but let's hypothetically say I have no idea how to do what you do. Okay.
Yeah.
I then come across and start saying, "Hey, Linguisti, you're wrong. You have no idea what you're doing. I don't know what you do, and I have no idea how to do what you do. But I know that you are 100% wrong." How would you, if I did that, would you think I was being irrational?
No. Well, I'll explain you why. Because sadly, with my example, it doesn't really work because some people can point out if they feel like something is different. I have to account for the feelings because I work with people's feelings. So it's
okay.
But yeah, if we were making a plot, for example,
okay. Let's dumb it down. Okay.
Yeah.
If you you are you're a brain surgeon. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not a brain surgeon.
Sure.
You're performing surgery.
Yeah.
And I come along and start telling and freely admit I have no idea how this works, what you're doing, or what anything else. I just say you're wrong, and clearly you don't understand how the brain you how to do brain surgery. But you're the brain surgeon.
Sure. Yeah.
Am I irrational for being like admitting I don't know what the hell you do, but just claiming that you as the brain surgeon don't have a clue about what you're doing?
Yeah, you would be rational because in this case, I know what I'm doing and I have a specific thing that I do that has a specific complex of actions that has to be done, repeatable actions that have proven to show some impact on the patient.
You're going into minutia. Is it rational or irrational in this context? I
think that's rational. Yeah.
Did you say irrational or rational?
It is irrational for the person to say that I don't know what I'm doing. Okay,
so in this context, using an example of Aaron Ra, right? He did that exact thing that we're talking about. Admits doesn't have a clue about cosmology or philosophy. Says he has zero interest in going and learning about it, while simultaneously telling the guys that were trying to explain it that they had no understanding of the entire point that was being made. Now, I'm using that, obviously, I think the rational person would say, wow, that's dumb and very irrational, right? But the point being is this is a very, very common thing that I see with atheists. And moreover, when we apply this to the point you were making about, I just don't think people can actually reach these conclusions, by thinking. You have admitted in our conversation that you haven't really thought about cosmology, right? You haven't.
I have thought a lot. Well, that's my problem. I think too much.
Well, I mean, from what I've heard from you, you don't really seem to understand the cosmological models.
Yeah, I don't know the names for them. Like, I don't know all the names that we use, like the linguistic context of it. But like, I have like things that I can imagine how they work, right? Like, I know the concepts, but I don't know the names for the concepts.
Okay, weren't you talking about like not knowing how the models for how the solar system formed? Like from the current cosmological models?
No. What I said is I didn't know what was the name for not the universe, not the galaxy, but the one in between. Like I don't know the name for that. Because like there's words for universe. Universe is every single thing, like every single piece of matter. How Jungle explained, right? If I understand you correctly. But for me, I kind of take not every single piece of matter, but only the planets that we can see, all of them, like all the planets and all the stars that we can see, that we have found so far. I don't know the name for that, because I wouldn't call that a universe.
Are you talking about the solar system, or are you talking about the Milky
No,
Galaxy,
the whole thing. Every single scale we can see. Yeah, the observable universe. I think that's the word. Observable universe.
Okay. Okay, so I mean, have you thought about things like the necessary being versus contingency being? And
well, what is contingency? I'm sorry, I don't know. What is contingency?
Contingency is something that's dependent on something else versus being.
Oh, okay.
Initiated by in itself, right? It doesn't.
Oh yeah, okay. I think I understand. I think I understand.
Okay, so that's the root of a lot of the cosmological questions, right? Of like, do we ultimately need a necessary being? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a god, but like in terms of like the conscious agent aspect.
Yeah, for example, like, am I understanding correctly? For example, if the universe is eternal, the universe is like this necessary thing. Is this the thing that I'm understanding?
Like the energy and matter could be the necessary thing.
Yeah, so I would say, if I understand correctly what you just said, maybe the universe in my model would be, has always existed, so it's like necessary. I don't know if that's
and it's kind of more like what the universe is made of would be more the necessary. We're arguing minutiae.
I'm so glad Darth isn't hearing this right now.
Would Darth be going into full scale meltdown?
He'd be losing his mind right now.
Okay. Do you believe in a separation?
Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm difficult.
The guy, man, that was pretty funny the other night.
Tom Rabbit clipped your thing and promoted your channel, bro. It was awesome. I watched the whole thing. It's phenomenal. Good stuff.
I saw that. It was dude. When it got down to him and Oz, I was cracking up.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good.
I couldn't keep a straight face.
Don't let him get away, LPP. you're letting him.
Okay, I have to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I have to interrupt you if you don't mind.
Sorry.
I have 33% on my phone, and I have like one and a half hour of walking, so 70% got into stream, and I have to count my steps. So pretty soon we'll be leaving in maybe in 2 or 3 minutes, because I need my phone to count steps.
Hey, Linguisti, I would like you to come by my stream sometime and let's have an actual Jesus talk. I think that would be
Jesus talk. Okay, sure. Why not? I'll be out too.
All right.
Smoky Saint. Okay.
Just type me in. You'll find me pretty easy.
Sure.
If you don't find my channel, you'll find my main advertising channel called The Raging Atheist, which is all the time. So you'll find those videos at least.
Okay. Thanks for the invite. So is there any last thoughts? Maybe you can give me to think about.
Go ahead, Smokey. I know you've been listening. I've been running my mouth.
No, man. I mean, it's been kind of your talk. I mean, give them some of your this is kind of your fine tuning and kind of walking them down the path, dude. I think you're a maybe machine. I think you're making a bunch of decisions on stuff that you really kind of know very little about. I'd like to push on to the theology side with you, to be honest with you. I don't think, but I don't get the impression that you're stubborn or belligerent or you're really set in your ways. So I mean, you're worthy of respectful, conversation. So yeah, come on by sometime. I'll have a Jesus talk with you.
So I guess my question is, is, since we've been having a nice conversation, at least I think so, have you come to the realization that I'm not always a jerk?
Yeah. Well, what I wanted to say is, the reason I was writing what I was writing, I really wanted to hear what the other, I don't remember his guy's name, what he wanted to say. And I felt like again, I might be wrong, but I felt like he wanted to ask you something, and I had a feeling that he would call him names and and it would go, hey, you're troll, you're lying, so you're not worthy of listening to. That's the idea I got from it. Even though I really wanted to hear what he wanted to say, and I just didn't get a chance to hear his argument. But yeah, I understand that everybody can be fine and polite. And in this conversation, you were polite, and I appreciate it. I just want people to have civil conversations, and that would be great if we did.
Well, so. Here's the thing. I tell people this on a regular basis because I've had plenty of normal conversations. I tell a lot of the I call them the Evo atheists on YouTube. The people like Scott, they come in with the intention of being jerks and just being clowns and trolls. And it's like, if you don't come in with any intent of having an actual decent conversation, and you're going to insult people and you're going to act like a prick, then I'm going to give you what for. And I make it very clear to those people before the people that have been following my channel and come on a semi-regular basis, they know that I don't let them get away with crap. That's why there's certain people who don't come on my streams very much anymore, because they know that I give them a little bit of rope, let them hang themselves, and then I kick them out.
Yeah, I see. I think that's where we are different. I feel like even if somebody is acting like a jerk, I will still try to be polite and say, oh, it's okay. Like, let's just talk it out, you know. I don't like, maybe I'm like a rug or something it would call, but yeah, I just
dude. Well, hold on, bro. We got a presupposition here that people like that are actually murdering people's souls and trying to drag them down to the pit with them in ignorance, stupidity, and confirmation bias. Okay, we're not going to sit here and placate egos and feelings and PC culture horse crap just so that we can hide away from the the truth of the necessity of what we're doing and how badly we feel it needs to be done. So you got to.
Okay, I got to turn off this stream. I will keep on listening on this stream.
Right,
thank you for coming in. All
right, bro.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Cool, man. That was a good show, LPP. Good stuff, man. I guess you're probably ready to shut it down here pretty quick anyway, man. Thanks for letting me tag along, man. It was a good time.
Oh yeah, we'll break it down here in a minute. Yeah, it's it really is amazing to me the how some. I think Linguisti seems like a very nice guy, a little bit naive.
Yeah, no, he's nice. Yeah,
he's
confused. I don't think he knows a lot. I think his culture's kind of teaching him. He's kind of like able to like set his own truth type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's some of these privileged first world cultures. We have an idea of what our culture's like, how it filters down to like Antifa and nonsense like that, over privileged, first world gutter trash millennials. But like each country's kind of got their own version of people setting their own cultural trends, and that might just be his shtick, kind of setting his own path. But yeah, well, I'd like to have a Jesus talk with him. Maybe there's some link to getting him to snap into some reality through that. So
yeah, you should do a you haven't done any reviews lately. You should do
it's been a hot minute. You're right about that.
You should do, I'm telling you, man, you should do a review of that Aaron Raw interview from earlier today. That crap.
Where was that? What happened here? Where's this?
Let me pull it up. I might play a minute of it because it's pretty.
Whose channel was it?
It was some. Hang on, I'll find it. It was some. It's a Muslim channel, but which is part of the reason I think you should do a review, because I know how you feel about that. When I'll put you this way. While I was listening to it, I was like, man, this is right up Smokey's alley. I mean, it's like a 2-for-1. You've got Aaron Raw.
Outstanding.
It's like a double.
I might have a fun time with something like that. Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can find this real quick. I'm telling you, listening to Aaron Raw today was just like, I can't believe I'm hearing this.
Man, he says some outrageously dumb things sometimes. He will betray his entire teleology if he thinks it has a chance to like win a momentary argument. It's absolutely laughable.
All right, let me see here. Okay, so it's
your screen's not shared, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, no, I was trying to find it real quick. Let me see. Okay. All right, it's the Thought Adventure podcast. And
Thought Adventure podcast. All right. Oh, it's a Muslim channel. Yeah, it is. All right. Yep. Gotcha.
Yeah, Jake the Muslim metaphysician, Abdul and Sharif. Okay, so this stuff. I'm just gonna say, there's so many gold mines in this thing.
Even empirical.
I gotta say, I have to give the Muslims credit. Like okay, this was had nothing to do with Islam. Okay,
Right.
like this is purely philosophy,
Yeah,
and they were like arguing about necessary beings, right?
Right.
And yeah, it's just,
there are contingent things in the world. You accepted that contingent things require explanations external to themselves. I even saw one of the definitions you put on your website kind of indicates that you commit to a sort of principle of sufficient reason. And when we take everything that exists that is contingent, the set of all existent things that is contingent, whether it is finite or infinite, doesn't matter. So the set of contingent things that has an explanation beyond it. So if we can conclude that the set of contingent things is contingent, of course, we can argue for that. But if that is assumed and it has an explanation external to itself. Sorry,
you threw all of that out and jumped to Magic Invisible Man.
No, see what we're discussing right now, Aaron. I don't want you to change definitions here. The reason we made this discussion about a necessary being is because it kind of streamlines the discussion. We're not concerned with all the other properties. We can have a different stream where we discuss the other properties that God has. But in order to get somewhere, we have to kind of streamline the discussion and not keep jumping around to different places when we actually make some progress.
Yeah, I'm gonna
so right now, everything in existence that is contingent, by your admission and by your concession, requires an explanation external to itself, because you've already said that everything requires an explanation. So if we can establish that a multiplicity of contingent things doesn't make it necessary, like for example, my laptop requires an explanation, 100 laptops requires an explanation, an infinite number of laptops also requires an explanation, and we take the set of all contingent things in existence and we say that it requires an explanation external to itself, by definition, that explanation cannot be contingent, because we've already said that it explains all contingent things. Then we've established...
Somehow out of that, you jumped to God.
They jumped to it now, right now.
Oh my God! Are you kidding me?
I mean,
he's so inept.
Dude, dude, this isn't even as bad. I mean, it was hilariously bad. Okay, this is pretty close to the end. But I mean, you have to give.
We are at God, retard. Oh my goodness.
I mean, you have to give Abdul like credit. Like he was explaining it well. I mean, I was like, you're establishing what it is very, very nicely, recapping what I mean, dude. For an hour, they had been breaking down the fundamental points of necessary for an hour straight, right? Like
this definition you're giving of God, you're jumping to God.
It's epic.
Right now, we're talking about a necessary being.
Hold on a second. We didn't get there yet, Arn. We're just trying to figure out if we even agree on there being a necessary being.
He's sweating. We could. He's not enjoying this.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, if we come to an agreement that there's a necessary being, doesn't necessitate that it's God, but then as you said, maybe in the future show.
Necessary being.
What's that?
Less that it's God. So we have to get to that first assumption, which we haven't gotten to, and then that it is God, which we're not going to get to.
Okay, but Arn, can you explain which part?
Hold on, Abdul, please. So what I'm saying, Arn, is that we were trying to build an argument for the necessary being. You agreed to the principle of sufficient reason, so we're on the same page there. Then what we're trying to explain is we have all these different things that we experience in reality that are contingent, that require an explanation for them outside of themselves. Mm-hmm. And so the question is, do we get to a bedrock thing that is necessary that explains all these other contingent facts, or do we just keep going on ad infinitum with all these different contingent beings? The only two really possible options at this point is to say, well, there has to be some sort of necessary being that is the grounds and explains all these other contingent facts, or we just keep adding on more and more contingent facts ad infinitum and we don't really get anywhere. So
matter and energy are eternal, never created.
Okay, dude, just listen.
Really?
Hang on,
really?
Dude. Hang on, dude. This gets so funny here in just a second. Okay, Smokey, are you sitting down?
Yes, I actually am.
Okay,
right,
because what is it you're about to hear from what you're about to hear from Aaron Raw is gonna blow your mind.
We don't have this problem at all.
But then you would say that matter and energy in that case would be necessary, and then you have a necessary being. It just happens to be matter and energy, right?
The reason being that it's not possible for there to be absolutely nothing.
Well, but I'm saying even in that equation, if you rejected an infinite regress and you said, well, the thing that's eternal is this matter and energy. Well, the question is that matter and energy that's eternal, is it necessary or is it a contingent fact? If you say that it's contingent, then it needs an explanation outside of itself. Or if you say that it's necessary, then you agree with us that there is something that is necessary.
Amazing.
You just think that it's matter and energy. And then we could have a discussion about that.
Okay.
So, I mean, which one of those options would you, at this point, would you go with? Would you say that you think matter and energy is eternal but doesn't have to be necessary, and then we still have to figure out, well, what
if it's necessary, the only thing that makes it necessary is that it's not possible for there to be absolutely nothing. At least I don't think it's possible for there to be absolutely nothing. And that impossibility would make the existence of something necessary. And
right. Okay.
none of it is relevant to what we're talking about.
No, it is because
we're using, as we described in the beginning, what being was. We're not restricting it to this sort of God with consciousness and all that stuff. We're not adding that baggage into the equation.
We should. We can have another conversation.
We could. But before you go, I want to be clear on where we're leaving off. At this point, to me, it seems like you're agreeing that there is something necessary by the fact that you're saying you don't think that there could ever be absolutely nothing. And if that thing that is necessary is something like matter and energy or some configuration of it, then that, in terms of philosophy, would be a necessary being in that respect. We would disagree with that, but at least we would agree that there is something that is necessary, and then we could have a further discussion about which model best describes what should actually be considered necessary and what shouldn't.
Again, I don't deal with physics at all. And I know that Sean Carroll, although I would have said that it's impossible for there to be nothing, I know that Sean Carroll said that it is conceptually possible for there to be absolutely nothing. And so with that being the case, that means that matter and energy, if never created, are not necessarily necessary.
Oh, now he's going to go back on it. Oh, spineless.
Dude, okay.
Spineless, wealthy, contradictory, freaking mental spurg of a man. Oh.
Okay, no, it's coming up. It's coming up.
Oh, this is amazing.
What's about to happen? Maybe. Well, actually, I don't even know what you're about to hear is the dumbest thing of the day, because he said some really dumb stuff. But this is funny right here. We're about 30 seconds, I think.
I dare
we would agree. Sorry, Jake, really quick. We would agree that conceptually nothing is not impossible. So we agree logically that's basically we're saying it's logically possible for there to be nothing. It's only logically possible for there to be something. So we agree upon that. What Jake was saying is that, look, what we're coming to the conclusion is this, is that you've got contingent being here. Contingent being requires an explanation. Either it has another explanation, which is another contingent being ad infinitum in a series of contingent beings in a chain that goes back forever, or there's a necessary foundation, a necessary thing within reality. Now,
the necessary thing could be the eternity itself.
We agree with you, and that's what we're agreeing with you, Aaron. Right now, we're just trying to decide if there's anything necessary in reality or everything is contingent. If we could get to a point where we agree that something has to be necessary, even if we don't know what it is, then we could have a further discussion about what the necessary being would be in terms of examining it and things like that.
Did you see the eye roll?
Wow.
You see the eye roll? Okay.
We don't even agree that there's a necessary being, then it makes no sense to skip that step.
He knows he's being annihilated.
Okay. So if you want to have another
discussion
into that, but I certainly don't want to delve into this because I don't see where it goes anywhere and it's pointless. There are a lot of concepts to me, and maybe I can come back.
Well, we progress here, and I think this was fruitful because at least we answered the question. I mean, this normally doesn't happen. So the title of the stream is "Does a necessary being exist?"
And the answer is no.
Well, I
think it's clear from the discussion that all four of us here agreed that a necessary being.
Okay, so here is where he completely tries to escape from what had been established earlier in the stream.
No, that there is no necessary being.
There is something necessary.
There is nothing necessary. That's what we agree. There's nothing necessary.
Do you think it's possible that matter and energy could be that necessary thing?
Could be? Is it possible that it could be necessary? Yes, it's possible that it could be necessary. It's also possible that it could not be necessary. And therefore, it's not necessarily necessary.
Okay, but that's why I'm asking.
Nothing. The answer to the question is no. There's not a necessary being. I'm now 10 minutes over time.
So lost.
Okay,
What
so
up,
you don't think that? Okay, all right. I mean, I'd be happy to have.
Look at the two Muslims on camera. They're
just like, are you kidding me right now? Like,
they're cracking up.
Well, no, because they know this is making like Islam look amazing right now. Like these guys are all cheery and chipper because they are just like spanking like one of like the world's like known YouTube atheists just back and forth, and he can't even keep up with like how bad his failure is. Like he's not even reacting in real time. Like he's at lag. He's like at MS-DOS level right now. Like he can't even like pay attention to what's really even happening to him. It's just, oh, this is incredible. This is incredible. Yeah, Aaron Roth, that's a good point takeaway. Aaron Roth's been doing this for 20 freaking years. This guy's been studying religion for 20 freaking years is what he says, guys. You believe? Yeah, I'll believe. Yeah, anyone that believes that, I'll tell you what, I got some absolutely beautiful beachfront property in New Mexico that I would love to sell you. So.
Man, I'm telling you, this, I don't even know why this popped up in my recommended, but incredible. I'm like, okay.
I'm glad it did, and I'm glad you shared it with me. I think it might have to, I might have some time tomorrow morning early. Maybe I'll.
Oh, man. Listen, Smokey, I'm telling you, if you think this has been funny, there's some stuff. Well, like the first 45 minutes of it are hilarious. And then about 50 minutes in, I think, he starts talking about he starts telling them how much time they have left. Okay, You have 12 minutes left.
Yeah, he
you
was
have 8
desperate.
minutes left. Oh man,
He was desperate to want to bail on this without looking like he's running away. I know, like his little sycophantic retard followers, like they'll just follow like his like they're not smart enough. Usually most of the people that would dare follow Aaron Ra, they're not typically smart enough to catch on to how often he loses, because they just follow his level of confidence. Like the one gift Aaron Ra really truly has is the ability to maintain confidence in pure blatant failure. And I think that is actually how he manages to keep an audience. The audience is of a level of magnitude quite dumber than what you would probably expect the typical functional day-to-day human being. And they will allow themselves to be carried by pure emotion, by the level of confidence that Aaron Ra can pretend to have, despite the fact that he himself may even know that he is failing miserably. And in that level, you have to give Aaron Ra credit. I mean, despite how incredibly rancid-brained and philosophically inept he is a proficient actor. He is good at hiding even the moments that he probably knows he's making a complete and utter embarrassment of himself. You got to give him that at least.
Well, that's true, but you also have to remember that. Well, I am not downplaying your point of his acting ability. I think a large portion of that also stems from his realization that his fans, a significant portion of them anyway, actually are that dumb.
I agree.
And won't. So he doesn't really have much to lose. Like even if he does end up looking like an idiot, his people won't know. They won't realize he looked like an idiot. I mean, case in point, some of his debates on MDD. Like the dude has rage quit.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you're getting drunk during the debate and then rage quitting. I mean, think about that.
It's been a hot minute since I reviewed Aaron Ra. It's actually been a hot minute since I reviewed anything. I think this will be a good way to dust off the cobwebs. I'll get on that tomorrow morning. I give you something to listen to while you're at work or something too.
Oh yeah, man, it's good stuff. His escape.
Back on because.
Yeah, but when I come back on, I want to know why y'all believe what you believe.
Not sure, but this is the process. This is part of the process. This is part of the process, Aaron. And we want to have you on for longer,
right? We're explaining to you.
Yeah, we want to have you on for longer. Damn straight.
You can get to Islam through this.
Oh, it's just a pig on the spit being roasted, and they're smelling the charred flesh, and they're just soaking it all in.
Philosophical books written by these classical Islamic scholars on the proofs for Islam, because one of
I'm out. Thank you.
And the rage quit.
And I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Take care.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, I love it. Outstanding. Thank you for sharing that, Matt.
And he's gone. Yep.
That's
outstanding. What is this? What is this? Hang on, I gotta read this.
What's this?
There's a better way to approach criticizing a lost soul's arguments than to personally attack him. I can't imagine.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? How many times have we dealt with this? It's like someone finds our channels for like the first time and we have to repeat it. And it's just, we have to constantly deal with this soy-soaked, beta-based, cuck culture that just wants to be emotionally feeble and validate everything around them, not wanting to attribute appropriate shame. Do you realize that Aaron Ra states that not only would he disbelieve in the Judeo-Christian God, even in the face of the Judeo-Christian God literally showing up to present himself to him, not only in that instance, but if there was any instance where he was confronted with undeniable evidence of the existence of the Judeo-Christian God, that he would actively rebel. This is not a man who is in any way, shape, or form out to learn, to be objective, to seek truth. He's an evangelist, a soul serial killer. He has made himself, by choices of what he has chosen to advertise to the world, fit for all manner of mockery, much as the prophets of Baal were fit for mockery as they were drawing the people away from their true love, which was the service to Yahweh. They were fit for mockery, just as in Acts 13, 9, and 10, when Paul just condescended and called the magician who was attempting to lead people astray a son of Satan, just as much as Christ was condemning and mocking the Pharisaic Jews that were attempting to guide people away from what Christ was presenting back into legalistic traditional fallacies, and called them broods of vipers, whitewashed tombs, foxes, all of these other things, with the intention of drawing a specific attention with a sense of urgency to the danger that these people presented in obfuscating or potentially even damaging the message of truth that's trying to get out there. So you, sir, are potentially part of the problem more than you are the solution in your preponderance to want to constantly move towards infinite passivity, even when the souls around you are in threat of burning. So I would ask you to take one giant step back, reconsider, reassess what you're doing, potentially coming into a room to a couple of people who are proactively attempting to engage those that are attempting to murder souls, and condescend to those when you are likely someone who does not do the same. So take a moment to reconsider that there's tons of people in this world who constantly don't, who tell people that do how they should be doing it. And we don't respect people like that. I'll yield, Maddox, if you want to say anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just posted a link if he wants to come in and talk about it. But yeah, I mean, I don't understand why it's such a difficult premise to, like, for example, we just had a good conversation, nice back and forth, normal dialogue with Linguisti, for example.
Nobody was wonderful. I enjoyed it, actually.
We're talking, but he's not being a prick. Like,
oh, was I a prick the entire time? I'm kind of known for it.
No, I wasn't talking about you. No, I was saying he wasn't being a prick.
Oh, right. Yeah. No,
like, he's actually having conversation, thinking, or he's trying to, and, you know, look at new ideas. We were trying to take into account the fact that English is a second language, you know, all those kind of things. Like, we're treating him like a human, like no big deal. The case in point of this, the inspiration for tonight's stream, the Scott W. It's like, dude, you came in and within 90 seconds were straight up lying. Like and then you get called on it and then continue to double down. And then, oh wait, yes, I am trolling. Like, okay, so you're a lying troll. And now everybody's going to be all offended if you treat that person like a lying troll. I don't understand how that makes any sense. Like, put it in any other context outside of YouTube, and if somebody comes in and starts lying to your face, like, you're not going to call them out for lying. Like, I mean, just think about that for a second. Let's imagine you're in a like business conference, right, or like a meeting in with your job, and you're all in a big conference room. There's 50 of you, and then one person gets up in the front and starts being like, hey, so you're lying. You don't know what you're talking about. And yeah, you're a liar. That's not what happened. That's not even close to what happened. And you're like, yeah, it is, man. You're on camera doing exactly what I'm accusing you of. Like, you're on camera. Right. No. No, that didn't happen. I mean, yeah, so you're a liar, and hey, everybody, this clown's a liar. What's up? He's on camera doing the polar opposite of what he's claiming right now, while claiming that I'm the one who's making things up. Let me show you the video that proves that I'm not the one that's lying, and he is. And imagine how many people in that room do you think would be like, to the person calling out the guy who's lying, you're being super mean for calling out the guy who's lying, saying that you're a liar to all of us.
Yeah.
Like, nobody would ever take that position because if that was being done to them, if they had the CO Jones to do what I just explained, right. That's exactly what they do. If they're afraid, they would hope that somebody else would stand up for them and be like, hey, dude, you're lying about so-and-so.
Yeah, and let me explain something else to you real quick. I'm sorry, Maddox. I didn't mean to cut you off if you were still going.
No, you're good, man.
Okay. Something else, the path of validation of these people, is part of the cultural problem. This thing of where you want to be infinitely passive because, quote unquote, you want to be, good example of the cross or whatever it is you people have sycophantively convinced yourselves. So let me remind you of something. This culture has convinced a whole bunch of people in a normative sense that they're not really ultimately all that bad. They're not super evil. They're not archaic. They're not all of these things. They don't really deserve to be judged. They don't really deserve to pay for what they've done. They don't really deserve to burn in hell or pay for the sins that they've done against an eternal God or eternal creatures that they share the world with. They've all convinced themselves they're not really that bad. Okay. So part of the things that I personally feel is essential to bring people to a recognition, particularly in this very, very toxic, very, very murderous, disgusting first world culture that we're in, is to draw attention to a necessity and some of the shame for them to recognize the fact that no, they are gutter trash meant for the fire, and without the blood of Christ to redeem them, to bring them back from the edge of destination of destruction, then that is what they will face. And the culture that has been telling them that they're not that bad, they're not that sinful, they don't deserve judgment or damnation or any of these things, that I do feel needs to be broken. So that is definitely one of the things that I prioritize on my channel and drawing attention to, because again, this is a sense of urgency for me. This is an environment where we can reach people who are actually willing to listen, and souls are at risk. So I think it's very important.
Yeah, it's true. That's very true, Smokey. It's very true. We need to be reminded of that all the time, that this is not playing games. We're not playing games here, and
Amen.
neither is God.
Amen.
Well, I agree with that, John. I think a lot of the hoity-toities that we're referring to right now, I don't think that they truly comprehend that we're in the equivalent of this. We're in the mosh pit, right? Like this is we're in the slums.
The trenches. We're in the trenches. Yeah, we're down low.
YouTube is ground zero of what is happening in terms of the intellectual and spiritual warfare for the souls of the young specifically. And I mean, I don't know how Linguisti is, but I'm guessing he's probably not more than 23 or 24, maybe 25 tops. He came across stuff on YouTube per his own admission when he was 14, and now he's a atheist who doesn't have a lot of foundational understanding. At least I don't think so. And we all interact with that on a regular basis. It's like an ongoing, perpetual cycle of ask them, call them out, try to find the foundation of their understanding, realize there's basically none, hear repeat of talking points, try to get them to back up the talking points, can't, don't have substance, and then they go into full-scale anger mode.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Yeah.
Although, sidebar, the other night, Jefferson Spatchcock degenerating into atheist little man syndrome was hilarious.
The Spatchcocks are good for occasional hilarity. I can't lie. Yeah. Jeff and Jay both, they have their little moments of like autistic spurg fits that they just don't seem to catch in time.
Okay, so I heard that Jefferson was caught buck naked.
Well, boxers. Yeah, he was. I guess he left his cam on, and PMARS had freaking recorded it, and like he was getting like taking his pants off and his shirt off, and like so he's just in his boxers to go lay down and look like his prison cot that he's got down there in the corner. And yeah, he's butterball for sure, no doubt about it. Yeah, PMARS had it on his channel for like 3 days, and then they begged him to take it down, and he did. So, which is kind of ironic because like they were making fun of Gavin for his malfunctions, wardrobe malfunctions, and like that is still out there in the ether. So they might want to be careful if they make too much fun.
Man, I tell you what, that Skylar Fictions
Skylar's fictions thing did make me laugh, especially with putting it to what was it, risky business. Oh, that was hilarious. Yeah, that was funny. It actually kind of even made it seem actually not even as bad for Gavin. It kind of just made it seem comical and meme worthy. It wasn't even really. It was like, yeah, all right, kind of funny.
I honestly thought it was hilarious. Yeah, even without the video, the fact that he did that on Tart to Randolph Richardson.
Yeah.
Man, that well, I didn't really know who Randolph was at the time, so I just thought it was kind of funny. But now that I know, and I've obviously debated Randolph and had multiple interactions with him, I think it's even funnier now. I'm just like, you know what? That just shows that Gavin had zero respect for Randolph Richardson. Like, dude, not only am I gonna debate you, I'm gonna literally do it in my tidy whities. That's how much I think about you, bro. I'm gonna put on a button-up shirt and a tie and sit down in a chair in my not in my boxers, in my tidy whities.
Right.
I mean, at least for other folks, he puts on his yoga shorts, you know, in a shirt. Nope, tidy whities. It's
that's hilarious.
Okay, so we got some else from okay, let's see here. I suppose we all have different tendencies. We are all called to be salt of the earth and to spread the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
I've had the most success when I treat people graciously. That's not the same as being passive, though.
I'll tell you what, dude, then why don't you stop telling us how to do it, and then we'll stop worrying about how you're doing it. How about that deal? How about you follow Paul's advice, where he said that each one of the body members should not judge the other body members to be more like them. You know what? The body of Christ needs fingers, it needs toes. You know what? It also needs an asshole. So why don't you just step the hell back? Let us occasionally need to do what we need to do or feel called to do, because sometimes stuff needs to be rattled awake, man. Sometimes you need a sledgehammer for a job that a chisel just ain't gonna cut. You get what I'm saying? So why don't you just? I'll tell you what. You stop coming down on us and dictating to us, and we'll stop worrying about you being too soft. Okay? Deal? I'm fair with that.
Apparently, the triple out.
Randolph doesn't deserve to That's a subjective opinion.
Well, you know what I find really funny?
Darth disagrees with you.
What does he deserve? What does he deserve? I mean,
well, and here's the other thing that I find really funny about. Let's see where
Praise's soundboard is now Darth themed, and I actually finally freaking like it.
Yeah, that is pretty funny. I have to. Okay, so here's the deal that always cracks me up about people that defend Randolph and the overall atheist positions, right? So this is from Define Atheism, which is a website put together by Randolph Richardson. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So one of the stated objectives of this, right? Onus of justification, aka burden of proof. Since the atheism classification is not justified by claims for or against theistic or anti-theistic positions, the burden of proof is not applicable in regard to this. Although it's certainly possible to have reasons for choosing atheism, such justification is optional, but not necessary.
Whoa, okay. All right.
It's like, so, and that's from his like formal, like,
and this is the thing, the atheists always go on about this burden of proof, evidence. You know what? And then they go on about how the Christians, can't agree on things. I'll tell you what, how about this? How about the whole freaking atheist community, put their money where their mouth is? Why don't all you big brains get together and tell us what the standard of evidence is? I'll tell you what, why don't all of you get together and why don't you tell us the evidence that unequivocally, unilaterally, undoubtedly would prove to every living human being on earth, without the potentiality for the exercise of free will and infinite skepticism, tell me what the hell that looks like. and then we'll be able to seriously consider your garbage claims of evidence and burden of proof. Okay, how about that? Do us all a favor.
And they don't have any evidence, anyways. They don't. They have zero evidence.
They would never get a meeting of the minds on what the hell that would be. Each one would have their own standard. Before you'd know it, you'd have to have. I don't know. I don't even know what they'd end up coming up with. God would have to show up, and create, unicorns that are farting lollipops and curing cancer, and I don't know what the hell they'd come up with. Insane things, most likely.
Oh,
they don't have any
TJ's gold brick. T-Jump's gold brick. I'll tell him what to do with his gold brick if he thinks he's going to pray for one every moment and get one.
Oh, man. So, speaking of pixies and such, in that stream with Aaron Raw earlier, let's just say he went down the leprechaun route.
Oh, he didn't. Did he really? Of course he did.
Oh, he did. He went in very aggressive leprechaun mode. It was great, man. I'm telling you. Well, I have to say that T-Jump's line in your debate with him is up there with some of the dumbest things I've heard.
It's outstanding. In fact, I need to go pull it and clip it and make it its own thing, because apparently the atheists are too dumb to have caught it when it's buried deep in the debate. So I just got to go pull it and just highlight it with a big magnifying glass.
Yeah, I've never gotten.
What a moron!
I remember watching that one live when he said that. I was just like,
the thing that I lost at was that I didn't mock him more, for when he said that. And I think if I had, I would have sold it more to the atheist crowd of what the stupid thing it was that he just said. But I kind of scoffed and okay, and went on to the next point. I really should have mocked him. It was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard.
True.
I mean, that's I should have just said, T-Jump, you will literally say anything. It doesn't even matter if it makes sense in a debate. You anything to the opposite of you're arguing against, it literally just does not matter. You will literally say anything.
Well, I agree with you on that. His, I don't know if you saw his video response to the Braxton Hunter 10 questions for atheists thing.
I did not see that.
So he did a response. And what really got me is in the whole question of what's the best argument and such. T-Jump said that the code argument he considered that one to be the best one, but then now we know that we can explain the code, so it's not that one goes out the window. And I'm like, hold on,
God, wait, what? Where's why aren't you going and getting your millions of dollars from the English Society garbage thing?
Yeah. The Royal Society, yeah.
Royal Society.
Yeah. So it's like, wait, hang on. So
T-Jump figured it out, folks.
Yeah. Well, in my
with Google profit.
But here's the thing. In my debate with him, he said it didn't exist, and that there was no difference in two rocks banging together and computer code from an information perspective. So
I guess he will say anything.
Now he's going to say that the code argument was the best one. And it's like, dude, it has not been accounted for. Like, this has not been solved. So so you're admitting it's the best argument. It hasn't been solved, but you're claiming it's been solved, even though it hasn't been solved. So it's still the best argument, you dumbass. Like, I don't understand how you can. Like, what world do you live in? Oh wait, not the real one. I mean, it's
no.
So let me answer your sock account troll question there, the gold brick thing, because that's amazing he didn't catch it in the debate, but I do want to answer it. It's good. The thing with the gold brick where T-Jump prays and then he gets a gold brick every single time, that's not God. That's a phenomenon. That's a natural phenomenon. In fact, the reason why it's so stupid that T-Jump said that is because there is literally no way to prove that that is actually a deity acting or just a new natural phenomenon that's been discovered, or something that some person is now all of a sudden able to do. There's no way that shows a personal deity. A personal deity will actually choose and interact and proactively dictate, which is exactly what we have from the Christian God. The prophecy of Tyr is true. All of Jesus's prophecies, 300 of them fulfilled. It's all true. It all worked. It all happened. It's all been lined up. And you know what? Even if you want to say that the disciples fabricated it, okay, then you're going to talk about that they were actually able to fabricate, go through all of the scriptures, which, by the way, weren't separated in nice, concise, easy, chapters and verses like they are now, but were just in long, drawn-out scrolls that you had to sit and read by candlelight. Okay, so this is your situation. You're going to think they combed through all of that to make sure that they wrote down 300 different prophecies that Christ actually fulfilled. Wow. Well, then you are at least giving them credit to almost a supernatural level of counterfeiting. So that's also a problem you guys got to explain.
Well,
anyway, I guess I'll bow out, Maddox, and I'll let you have your night, man. Hey, man, thanks for having me part of the show. This is a fun time. I actually enjoyed this. Good. I didn't want to do a stream tonight, and you were doing one, so this just fit nice. And Praise was talking about physicalism or something. I just didn't care. So thank you for this, man. It was a good time.
Man, I sidebar before you go, because I'm gonna call it a night because I gotta get up in the morning. I have a hard time with the whole physicalist arguments and discussions. I'm just like, I don't even know how this has substance, to be honest.
Yeah, I get where some people, like, if they're particularly into like quantum mechanics and stuff like that, would probably find it of real interest, that there's some sort of like, if you came across someone else who also had a passable level of knowledge in it, maybe you could convince them that, hey, well, there's something interesting, to kind of like crack their mind into thinking in the perspective of the potentiality of a deity. But like, I don't know. I mean, it kind of requires you to have to go through quite a few tangents and rabbit holes, and some assumptions are made about people's competency at the quantum realm and mechanics and stuff like that. But actually, I mean, Praise did a good job. He was referencing actual PhDs and doctors. It's not like he was just pulling it out of nowhere. I don't know. I just, in terms of, argumentation and things to tackle, I mean, it's good. I just don't mess with it much, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's not my cup of tea.
The one that gets mad, like some of the things that we argue over, I'm just like, I don't really find some of the stuff that part of where my brain's going with all this is, who is the clown show? That said this the other day. It might have been Spatchcock. I forget.
You triggered me, by the way, last night when you said that I came in right after Darth and channeled Darth. You triggered me last night.
There was no intent on my part whatsoever.
That'll do.
Man, okay. In all seriousness, though, you channeled Darth.
Yeah, I kind of probably did. That might be why we just like despise each other so much. Well, other than that I think that his Pope was a degenerate heretic. But aside from that, we probably dislike each other to a certain level because we do have some similarities, probably some strong similarities in some ways. So
I would.
Didn't Jefferson channel Darth too?
Maybe temperament, and that might be about it. At least I think more control over mine. Than he does.
Here's the thing with Darth is, if he would just, I understand why he doesn't, because I mean he's been doing this for what, like 20 years or whatever.
Yeah, good.
I mean, I can understand the impatience and like the frustration with like, I know exactly what this dumbass is going to say. Let me just cut to the chase and like go on to it. But the problem is that, especially since he's dealing with so many young, and let's get real, most atheist males are 22 to 34. Like they're male and they're 22 to 34. That's just a fact, right? And therefore, by definition, that means they don't know much, and they have, a lot of them have very little experience and knowledge. So it's like, yep, there we go, same rabbit hole of thought process. Oh wait, there we are, and it's like, let's get back to the beginning. However, because from their perspective, it's new, you can tell they just get triggered. And then they go into full-scale defense mode, and it's now no longer about actually addressing the arguments.
Yeah,
and
seems about right. Yeah,
that's my big, like when I listen to what Darth has to say, like actually pay attention to the logic.
Yeah,
I agree with a huge portion of the arguments that he's making, like from just a pure logic standpoint. They make sense, right? And I recognize that the vast majority of people he talks with they clearly stopped like 7 steps back, right? Like they're not getting the point. And I also think he could probably simplify it the way
actually, arguably, if I could just a moment, and I'll just leave this real quick for the audience to look up and Google it because it might help you. Arguably, the Munchausen trilemma actually completely diffuses and annihilates the potentiality of all of Darth's arguments that were invented by Cornelius Van Til. And the reason is that because every single human being's argumentation, justification, presupposition, everything ultimately filters down to some sort of a priori justification where you're just accepting it. A good example is like solipsism. Even though there is no, defense for hard solipsism, there's no hard defense to prove that you're not a brain in a vat. We all accept, a priori that we are, free thinking, real interactive creatures with other real interactive creatures among us. We don't operate with the assumption that we're just, inside a vat and we're interacting with pieces of programming. We don't operate that way, even though we can't prove it. So whether you are atheist or whether you are theist, there is still going to be some part of your epistemology that is pure presupposition a priori, just accepting it for the sake of accepting it, or it might even be circular. But the point is that every human being has this. Now, the issue with the atheist is that when you are coming at the atheist with a pure a priori argument, the atheist can just as much claim pure a priori atheism. And just filter their logic down there. You need something filtered into it of an evidentiary basis, because us as thinking creatures in our society, what we really do is we're supposed to judge things based upon a preponderance of evidence. So you judge based upon what makes the most sense for reality. Right. Darth just tries to force the presupposition, the a priori presupposition he has onto the other party by saying it makes more sense than yours, but he never justifies that statement.
Right. Well, and that's kind of where I was coming from in terms of understanding what he's saying. But I'm thinking about it from the perspective of, okay, I can at least provide rational and evidentiary argument to reach the presupposition.
You heard him with Otangelo. He didn't like it when Otangelo brought up fine tuning. It's, what I thought was funny is he tells Otangelo, he's like, hey, it won't work on this atheist. I know my atheist. And I thought that was so funny because he acts like he has a different method for each atheist. He doesn't. It's the same.
Oh yeah.
It's the same method and the same argument he's like, I know my atheist. It's not going to work on me.
The presupposition is actually it's just a suggestion to think about the presupposition, but because God is a fact, but the atheist doesn't want to go there, but so you put this presupposition so that he can do a thought experiment of how that you have to have a God,
right?
And without a basis, because then otherwise they would have to provide another basis without God, and they can't.
Well, but they also need a the jungle, the issue is they also need a motivator to accept the basis. That's what's always missing. You can't just supplant someone else's presupposition for your own without any justification for it. And that's where it just kind of ultimately fails.
Well, true, but one of the big issues I think that a lot of the at least the YouTube atheists don't seem to comprehend is the point he was making with who was that guy the other day? Yeah. Anyway, in context of the the worldview perspective,
right?
And that if you're going to negate a worldview that is dependent upon God, and you're saying you're from a falsification standpoint. Anyway, he's like, I was with Oz. You have to have a reciprocal. You can't just be like, oh, I don't agree with this one little portion of it. No. You have to. You have to initiate a counter worldview. If you're
Darth was right, by the way. Oz was really dodging and not answering his questions and was actually conversing very dishonestly. I noticed it too, actually. And I don't usually give Darth credit for that, but in this particular instance, I did. Oz was really slithery, snaky, dishonest in that conversation. He really
absolutely. And it's like either you're dumb or you're playing dumb.
He wasn't answering the questions. He wouldn't take them on directly. He was constantly obfuscating. Darth was calling him out appropriately. I'll give Darth credit for that.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I know. Hey, I have to be honest. I mean, I'll lose credibility if I'm not.
Well, that's true. But I guess my point being that with Darth in that context we're talking about now, of like to your point, he was correct. Like in the position he was at in that particular conversation, he was correct.
Agreed. Yeah.
And that is one of those components that at least the YouTube atheists don't want to even recognize as being real. Like they just want to completely dismiss it. And then they wonder why why he goes off on them. It's like you're either an idiot or you're acting like an idiot.
Did you notice how Darth didn't want to stick around and try and defend that Cornelius Van Til wasn't a heretic? Like, did you notice that he didn't want to? He didn't want to try.
I did notice that. Yeah.
That's not a fight he wants to have with me, I guess.
Here's one of the things I find very interesting about the atheists. I mean, some of the theists in some aspects, but usually just the YouTube atheists, like they're such derision towards presuppositional arguments, right? It's like, hey, do you idiots not realize that you also have like significant precepts? Like, you just act like you don't, but you have hardcore precepts. And I'm like, I really think maybe it just triggers you, and you don't want to actually analyze and recognize your own gigantic presuppositions that ironically many of them have less substantiation than those of the theistic precept.
They exactly. Well, the ultimate point is, and this is where Darth doesn't finish the other side of it, is that we have better justified presuppositions than they do. When you get to our presuppositions, we have a abductive or inductive set of reasoning to justify the acceptance of these presuppositions, where they are just unilaterally accepting whatever basically comes into their head, or anything that basically is non-God. They will accept, and they don't recognize that. They don't recognize that they themselves have basically chosen a belief path of the acceptance of basically any potential universal construct, as long as it isn't God-based. And if they can't recognize that they're taking that philosophical position implicitly based upon what they're professing, they're just deluding themselves.
Yeah.
Case in point.
Out their way. Yeah.
Whack theism. Yeah.
Case in point, today, Aaron Raw literally stated he actually said he said that there was no philosophical presupposition in science.
Oh, come on now, please, for the love of God.
And he argued it aggressively for like at least
and he didn't even let it go. He didn't even realize how dumb it was after it left. He didn't even try to like cover it like a dog and it's like hiding its turd.
No, he kept doubling down. Like they explained.
No!
Like they all were just like, oh, you got to be kidding me. All the Muslims, like they were explaining it. Like, no, it's an epistemology. Like, here's why. Here's the philosophical aspect of it. Like, here's the foundational presuppositions for fact. They were arguing. This is in context of like, what is a fact? Right?
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, tune into Smokey Saints show tomorrow morning, where we're gonna roast ourselves a fat grease wizard. It's gonna be a good old time.
I'm telling you, when the portion over what is a fact, you're gonna lose it.
Oh, I'm gonna enjoy it, man. You know what? I'm gonna get myself a couple cups of coffee. I'm gonna get myself woken up, ready for the day, and I'm just gonna pop on and do that review and have myself a good laugh before I do what I gotta do.
When that whole deal was going down, and I was driving home and I was listening to that stuff, and I'm like, I am hearing this right now. I am actually hearing the guy who demands that we accept science claim that you don't have to.
We have no justification to accept science. Really? You sure about that, Aaron? You sure you want to go that way with it? All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, Just sabotage your entire worldview and arguments just to try and, you know, get a point over and not even realize the stupid thing you've just said. It's like, yeah, that thing with Ronnie, like where Ronnie's brain just flat broke when Khalil was like just asking him a basic philosophical question. Oh, it's just absolutely incredible. Just incredible.
I think that you should tune in to Smokey's review tomorrow, because I'm sure he will go absolutely bonkers over this point.
I'm gonna have a fun time.
And I know that the Muslims went absolutely nuts in relation to the philosophical presuppositions of science. Like one as an example is going to be, like a presup is going to be, what is evidence?
Gonna get spanked by Muslims, Aaron? Really? Really? Oh, just that's gotta hurt. You know what? You know he woke up sore, just like not feeling good about himself. Like, oh, that happened yesterday. You know, probably what's funny, he probably spent the entire day in comments, Facebook, and Twitter doing pure damage control. I'd almost guarantee it. It was like the same thing. Like every time he loses a debate pretty massively, like that Eric Hernandez situation when he couldn't tell anyone what faith actually meant or the word pistis after he said he studied for 20 years, or like any of his other faux pas, like with Mr. Batman, or probably this one, he just spends like a good, like at least half a week to a week doing just pure like damage control and like comments and Facebook and stuff, and everyone just makes fun of him, and he never learns. He'll return after a couple months of tucking his tail and doing barely much of anything, you know, going and doing his, I don't know, off-roading with his friggin' 4x4 that his Patreon's bought for him, or whatever the hell it is that he's doing, digging around in the dirt, convincing everyone that he's a friggin' paleontologist. But he'll go do that, and then he'll come back and he'll do the whole thing. It'll be another cycle, you know. And it's a sad. Well, Aaron Ra is a really, really sad, pitiful, horrendous tragedy of a man, ladies and gentlemen. I pray for him and have pity for him, but he definitely has all the telltale signs of a pure blown reprobate, in my opinion. So
yeah, his argument is this looks like this and that looks like that and that looks like the other thing. That's his argument.
Yeah, Stephanie Trenton, the rage has not recovered from the battle with you. No, he probably won't. And he probably won't, you know. And he's kind of basically nothing more than a lifeless corpse that we've attached to strings that we're occasionally tagging along for our own entertainment here and now. Yeah, he's an ongoing occasional lolcow.
So Smokey, you came into this stream tonight and asked me why I was playing with a dead rat.
That's okay. Yeah, that's fair.
And yeah. So what's up, Pot?
Touché.
What's up, Pot?
That's Pot calling the kettle a racial slur. Yep, absolutely. Yep.
This, oh, dude. So I'm looking over on that page right now from the Aaron Ra thing. It's now, so this streamed 13 hours ago. It's been watched 3,400 times. It's got 450 thumbs ups. Currently 168 comments.
Oh, you know what? And I bet you if you scroll through those comments, you'll find areas where Aaron himself is responding. I'll guarantee it. I'll guarantee it.
Right now, the ones I've seen so far, there's basically nothing. It's I think he may still be in recovery from.
I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up tomorrow morning, the comments while it's going through it, and I'm gonna see if I find any. I bet I find at least one. Yeah. Anyone want to bet me I'll find at least one? I bet I find at least one.
Oh man, it's so bad. Okay. Yeah, there was one that I saw earlier that was hilarious. Let's see where that go. And in this, what I'm about to read it's not exactly verbatim, but it's really close. And when he said it, when I was watching it, it was epic. Okay, let's see. Where the heck did that go? Oh man. Where is
By the way, I think Takeaway wants the link to the video.
Okay, I'll post it. In 1 sec. Hang on, let me just want to find this comment real quick and read it to everybody. It's too good. Oh man, where is that? Aaron Ra, you misrepresented me for the past 10 minutes. Abdul, how? Aaron Ra, I can't remember. It was too fast. I mean, that's almost verbatim to what happened.
Outstanding. Yeah, good stuff, man. All right. Well, I'm going to take off, Maddox. Hey, I appreciate you, man. Hope you have yourself a good night. Get some sleep. Jungle, good hanging out with you, brother. Good to see you, man. Yeah, God bless you, gentlemen. Appreciate it, man. Good stuff.
All right, there's a link. Appreciate it, Smokey. You have a good night, man. And I will be tuning into your review tomorrow. It's going to be hilarious. Okay, so Jungle, before we wrap up, you got any last words?
Yeah, I was just thinking about how they tried to destroy the existence of Israel, ancient Israel, trying to say Israel didn't exist, and they go out of their way trying to prove that, and of course they're proven wrong time after time after time after time. But they seem to have forgotten they got to disprove the Elamites, the Arameans, the Assyrians, and every single one of the grandsons of Noah as well. Not just Israel. Every ancient civilization they got to try to disprove, because that's where we all came from. So
that's true. Well, I appreciate that. Well, everybody, appreciate you coming and enjoying the madness of beating a dead rat and having some different conversations about a variety of topics tonight. And hope you all enjoyed. Before we close up, just for fun, before we wrap up, let's play this one more time. And before I do, this will be the end of the stream, folks. As you consider all the things we discuss, the different ideas, the concepts, the evidence, the new discoveries, the old concepts, the old discoveries, the old arguments, the new ones, and all of the different pieces in between, that if you take the time to use your brain to think rationally, not be consumed just by emotion, but to actually use your God-given intellect, in my opinion, if you make sure that your conclusions are logical, plausible, and probable, the only rational conclusion is that God exists. Have a great night, everybody. Hope you enjoy this little clip as we roll out, and have a fantastic and productive day tomorrow. So did I or did I not ask multiple questions in that?
I don't see that. What were they?
All right. A question by logical, plausible, probable.
So did I or did I not ask multiple questions in that?
I don't see that. What were they?
Another question by logical, plausible, probable.
So did I or did I not ask multiple questions in that?
I don't see that. What were they?
Logical, plausible, probable wrote.
So did I or did I not ask multiple questions in that?
I don't see that. What were they?
All right. A question by logical, plausible, probable.